Chapter 2581. After arriving at the living room, Lu Ming and Tong, chatted casually as they waited. Not long after, a shadow flashed outside the living room and a figure suddenly appeared. It was a man who looked to be around 30 years old. He wore a black robe and looked handsome and elegant, giving people a gentle feeling. "Greetings, General." Tong, quickly stood up and bowed when she saw the young man. This person was the general of the Zhengtian army, the ancestor of the Heaven Realm back then, the legendary person who created the law cultivation system. Ha, no need to be so polite. I'm here to meet my fellow countrymen. The ancestor of techniques laughed and stepped in. Lu Ming greets the ancestor of techniques. Lu Ming also stood up and bowed. It was the first time he met this legendary person, so Lu Ming was also quite excited. No need to be so polite, no need to be so polite. The ancestor of techniques waved his hand, and a gentle force lifted Lu Ming up. No one has called me that for many years. From now on, just call me General like the others. The ancestor of techniques smiled and sized up Lu Ming carefully. You have the aura of the Heaven Realm. You are indeed from the Heaven Realm. You even cultivated the law cultivation system and formed a small world, the ancestor of techniques whispered and looked at Lu Ming with an even more friendly gaze. Lu Ming, how did you come out of the Heaven Realm? What happened in the Heaven Realm? I once secretly snuck into the dark underworld planet, but the passage to the Heaven Realm has been sealed. Even I can't enter. The ancestor of techniques asked a few questions. It was obvious that he wasn't calm in his heart. Lu Ming knew that the ancestor of techniques must have cultivated and returned to the dark underworld planet. But the passage was sealed by the ancestral dragon and the Hell Protector Patriarch with the sky-suppressing rune. The ancestor of techniques was too powerful. If he forcefully broke the seal, the Heaven Realm, the Yuan Realm, and the Evil God Realm would collapse together. Senior, it's like this. Immediately, Lu Ming briefly told him what had happened in the Heaven Realm and the Evil God Realm. I see. After the ancestor of technique heard this, he nodded and sighed. Senior, I brought out most of the divine beasts and humans from the primordial realm from the Heaven Realm. In a few months, our small world will merge with the primitive universe. We need a place to settle these creatures. Lu Ming said, That's easy. I'll choose a place for you immediately. The ancestor of technique smiled. The upright heaven star was shockingly large. It was several times larger than the dark underworld star. It was easy to settle the living beings of the primordial realm in. Follow me. The ancestor of techniques did things swiftly and decisively. After speaking, he waved his sleeve and a wave of energy swept up Lu Ming and flew him outside. The ancestor of technique's speed was extremely shocking. The scenery around them constantly flashed by. Not long after, they flew far away and arrived at a grassland. This grassland stretched as far as the eye could see, with no end in sight. This grassland is vast, and its area is at least 10 times that of the Heaven Domain, Primordial Realm, and Evil God Realm. Your small worlds can just merge here. The ancestor of law said, Thank you, Senior. Lu Ming was also very excited. There was finally a place to settle down. After rushing out of the Heaven Domain, he had finally won a chance of survival and successfully brought everyone out of danger. Senior, please wait for a moment. With that, Lu Ming's heart stirred and his figure appeared on a mountain peak in his small world. Here, Ancestral Gragon, Heavenly Thunder Emperor, Titan Longhorn Bull, and the others had been waiting for Lu Ming's news. At the same time, they were also prepared to fight to the death if there was any danger. Lu Ming! As soon as Lu Ming appeared, Ancestral Gragon and the others looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming, how is the situation now? If there's no other way, we can fight to the death. Everyone spoke one after another. Everyone, we have already left the dark underworld star. Lu Ming said with a smile. What? Left the dark underworld star? Ancestral Gragon and the others were stunned, and then they were overjoyed. Left the dark underworld star? Could it be that they had escaped? We're safe now. Also, I'll bring you to see someone. After speaking, a force enveloped Ancestral Gragon and the others and moved them out of the small world. As soon as Ancestral Gragon and the others appeared outside, they looked around. In the next moment, their gazes were focused on the Ancestor of Techniques. This is, after seeing the Ancestor of Techniques, Ancestral Gragon, Heavenly Thunder Emperor, and the others were stunned. Master! Master! Heavenly Thunder Emperor seemed to be dumbfounded. He muttered to himself and then trembled with excitement. Greetings, Master! After a long while, Heavenly Thunder Emperor bowed down. Ancestor of Techniques! It's the Ancestor of Techniques! At the same time, some people exclaimed. Among these people, some had existed since the ancient times. Some were even older than the Ancestor of Techniques, so they naturally knew the Ancestor of Techniques. When they saw the Ancestor of Techniques, they were inexplicably shocked. The Ancestor of Techniques had left the heaven domain a long time ago. They did not expect to meet him here. Heavenly Thunder, long time no see. It's time for your cultivation to break through. The Ancestor of Techniques smiled. Ancestor of Techniques, Ancestral Gragon muttered with a complicated gaze. When the Ancestor of Techniques was still in the heaven domain, he had already been ordered to guard the heaven domain. When the Ancestor of Techniques left the heaven domain, he naturally knew about it. Also, he knew that those people would be controlled by the Yuan Luo Palace when they left the heaven domain. However, he was helpless and could not stop them, nor could he warn them. Later, when the Hell Protector Ancestor went to the heaven domain and took out the heaven-suppressing talisman, they worked together to seal the passage to the heaven domain. However, what surprised him was that the Ancestor of Techniques was not controlled by the Yuan Luo Palace. It's like this. The Ancestor of Techniques has created the righteous army to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace. Looming briefly explained the Ancestor of Techniques and how they came to the Righteous Star. General of the Righteous Army, Ancestral Gragon and the others muttered. At this moment, they deeply understood that the Ancestor of Techniques' current realm was not something they could guess. It was probably shockingly high. Otherwise, how could he create the righteous army to fight against the Yuan Luo Palace? Some of the people here were of the same generation as the Ancestor of Techniques. Some of them were even older than the Ancestor of Techniques. However, at this moment, their eyes were filled with respect. That was the way of cultivation. Those who had reached the top were the seniors, regardless of age. Since the Ancestor of Techniques' cultivation was far above them, they naturally could not treat the Ancestor of Techniques as their peers. The Ancestor of Techniques swept his gaze across the crowd and nodded slightly. His heart was also filled with complicated emotions. There were many familiar faces here. After so many years, seeing so many familiar faces made him feel rather emotional. All right, you guys can stay here for now. I will send someone to help you. If you need anything, you can ask me, said the Ancestor of Techniques. With that, he turned into a beam of light and left the place. Is this the Eldritch universe? What a rich divine chi. This cultivation environment is truly shocking. I feel like I'm about to break through. Ha, me too. After the Ancestor of Techniques left, everyone finally felt it. They were all shocked by the cultivation environment here. Chapter 2582. Moreover, some of these people had been stuck in the demigod realm for countless years. It was impossible for them to break through in the heaven realm. The heaven realm's conditions were not enough for them to break through to the martial god realm. At most, they could cultivate to the demigod realm. Their foundations, their comprehension, had already reached their limits. Now that he had arrived at the primitive universe and arrived at the upright star, he had an urge to break through. Let's let them out first and settle them down. It won't be too late to break through after the small world and the primitive universe have merged. Yes. Immediately, Lu Ming and some people who had cultivated small worlds released the divine beasts and humans from their small worlds. People kept appearing on the plain. Not long after, a dense crowd of humans and divine beasts appeared. Their numbers were immeasurable. These were the people and divine beasts of the entire primordial realm. Naturally, their numbers were frightening. However, the plain was too big. It was more than 10 times the size of the evil god realm of the primordial realm. It could easily accommodate them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're safe now. This is just Heaven Planet, the Your Wilds universe. We can settle down here and build a city. Lu Ming's voice rang in everyone's ears. Is this the primitive universe? God, what kind of energy is this? It's much stronger than Origin Chi. My cultivation is about to break through. I just took a breath. In this environment, I feel that even if I don't cultivate, I can strengthen my body and break through my cultivation. Countless humans and divine beasts were shocked when they sensed the environment. The cultivation environment of the primitive universe was much better than that of the primordial realm of the heaven realm. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. They were right. Even if they didn't cultivate here, their cultivation could still increase. This was especially true for some low-level martial artists. For example, those below the martial emperor realm felt that with every breath, their cultivation was increasing. Their bodies were being tempered and constantly becoming stronger. Their feelings were not wrong. In the primitive universe, no matter what kind of creature it was, whether they cultivated or not, as long as they reached adulthood, their cultivation would reach the martial emperor realm. In other words, any farmer in the primitive universe would have the cultivation of a martial emperor. This was the divine realm. It couldn't be compared to the heaven realm at all. The environment here was too good. Any creature that stayed here for a long time would automatically evolve in all aspects and undergo a transformation. Many talented people could easily cultivate to martial sage or martial emperor. Of course, it was not easy to reach the martial god realm. It was a hurdle that stopped 99% of the living beings in the primitive universe. Everyone, let's familiarize ourselves with each other first before we begin. Lu Ming's voice sounded again. Everyone first familiarized themselves with the environment. After that, the ancestral Gragon and the others began to make arrangements. Everyone began to build a city on the plains. Not long after, a group of experts from the righteous army arrived. They were in charge of protecting the lives of the heaven realm. After all, there were some living creatures living in this grassland. Although there were no terrifying existences, any living creature had the cultivation of the martial emperor realm. To most of the humans and divine beasts in the heaven realm, they were very threatening. Following that, countless heaven realm living beings started to get busy. Many huge and majestic cities were erected on the grassland. At the same time, the righteous army had formation experts who helped them carve large formations. This way, as long as they stayed in the cities, they would be safe. Several months passed in the blink of an eye. Countless living beings in the heaven realm settled down on the grassland. Hundreds of huge cities suddenly appeared on this boundless grassland. In the past few months, the cultivations of countless living beings in the heaven realm skyrocketed as they continuously made breakthroughs. This was especially true for those with low cultivations. The speed of their breakthroughs was even more shocking. For example, Lu Ming's parents, Li Ping and Lu Yuntian, had directly charged into the martial sage realm. Furthermore, they were improving every day. When the countless living beings in the heaven realm first came to a place like this, they were destined to have a period of explosive growth. Once their cultivations were high, their progress would be slower. When they reached the martial emperor realm, their progress would be much slower. However, there were still many martial emperors who made breakthroughs. The lower the cultivation, the easier it was to break through. On this day, rumbling sounds came from Lu Ming's body. The 1-year period is up. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He had been in the primitive universe for a year. The small world in his body was about to merge with the primitive universe. Lu Ming's figure moved and turned into a beam of light, appearing on an empty plain. At this moment, countless people rushed out and arrived at the empty plain. Like Lu Ming, they cultivated the system of laws and refined their small worlds. At this moment, they were about to merge with the primitive universe. Buzz! Lu Ming's small world vibrated more and more violently. Then it flew out on its own. After the small world flew out, it directly landed on the grassland and merged with the ground of the grassland. The area of the grassland rapidly expanded. Lu Ming felt a wave of weakness in his body. This was caused by the merging of the small world and the primitive universe. Whoosh! At this moment, the mountain-river diagram flew out from Lu Ming's glabella and merged with the ground. As expected, even the paradise treasure can't be kept. Lu Ming sighed. The nature of the paradise treasure was the same as the small world. It was not allowed to exist in the primitive universe. In the primitive universe, except for some natural space secret realms, the small worlds cultivated by others that could allow living beings to survive were all not allowed to exist. The primitive universe was so domineering. It was the only one. However, spatial treasures such as storage rings were fine. This kind of spatial treasure only opened up a space to store things. Living beings could not survive in it, so it was fine. Fortunately, Lu Ming had put away all the treasures of the mountain and river diagram in the small world into the small world. In the heaven realm, all the living beings who cultivated small worlds had their small worlds merged with the ground. Whoosh! At this moment, an incomparably powerful energy poured into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming did not even need to refine it. This energy automatically transformed into the power of the world and the power of the ruler. The feeling of weakness quickly disappeared, and Lu Ming was full of energy again. This was the feedback from the primitive universe. The primitive universe was fair. If it took away his small world, the corresponding energy would be returned to him. Lu Ming felt the power of the world and the power of the ruler in his body surging. His total energy did not decrease. His cultivation was the same as before. There was no difference at all. It was just that the small world had disappeared and turned into the power of the world and the power of the ruler. This is good too. It will be more convenient for me to break through to the martial god realm in the future. Lu Ming smiled. In order to break through to the martial god realm, he had to merge everything into one. Even if the small world did not merge with the primitive universe, he would have to find a way to merge everything in the future. However, that would be more troublesome. In this way, it would be more convenient for Lu Ming to break through to the martial god realm in the future. Chapter 2583. Peace returned to the world. The small worlds in the bodies of all the people in the heaven realm and primordial realm who cultivated the nomological system fused with the grassland. The area of this grassland had also expanded a little. The distance between some of the big cities had also increased. Boom! Boom! Right at this moment, several auras soared into the sky, shocking to the extreme. That's breaking through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he looked in the direction of the explosion. Emperor Heavenly Thunder, Emperor Rebellious, there were a total of 5 people, and their auras were getting stronger and stronger, reaching the peak. This was the sign of breaking through to the martial god realm. Lu Ming had not expected the Heavenly Thunder Sovereign and the others to break through at this moment. However, on second thought, it was reasonable. Martial Monarch Heavenly Thunder, Martial Monarch Rebellious, and the others had long achieved the half-martial god realm. They had been accumulating their strength for a long time. Thus they could have long achieved the martial god realm. However, in the heaven realm, the conditions were limited, so it was difficult to successfully break through. Hoo-hoo! The bodies of Sovereign Heavenly Thunder and Sovereign Rebellious were like 5 vortexes, constantly absorbing the energy of heaven and earth. Between the heavens and the earth, The surging divine qi continued to gather towards them. A few days later, their auras skyrocketed. There was a layer of light on the surface of their bodies that looked like flames. It was a blazing divine flame. Level 1 Nihility God Realm, they had broken through. No heavenly tribulation. Lu Ming's eyes flickered in surprise. He had long discovered this situation. This was because during this period of time, too many people and divine beasts in the heaven realm and primordial realm had broken through, but there was no heavenly tribulation. In the heaven realm and the primordial realm, breaking through to the martial emperor realm, martial saint realm, and martial emperor realm would be accompanied by a calamity. However, there was nothing here. In the heaven realm, there was a terrifying heavenly tribulation when breaking through to the half-martial god realm. Lu Ming initially thought there would be a heavenly tribulation when breaking through to the martial god realm, but to his surprise, there was none. Perhaps this is the difference between the primordial realm and the primitive universe. Lu Ming pondered. In the heavenly world, the primordial world, and the fiend god world, the heavenly Tao was supreme. All heavenly tribulations were evolved from the heavenly Tao. However, the heavenly Tao was only the heavenly Tao of the primordial realm. It had nothing to do with the primordial universe. Perhaps there was no such thing as a heavenly tribulation in the primitive universe. Lu Ming let out a smile. This was good. His parents' cultivation had been increasing, and it was only a matter of time before they broke through to the martial emperor realm. Without the heavenly tribulation, Lu Ming felt more at ease. Congratulations, congratulations! Emperor Heavenly Thunder, Emperor Beld, and the others had successfully broken through to the martial god realm. Many people flew over to congratulate them. The Heavenly Thunder Sovereign and the others were also full of smiles, unable to hide the excitement in their hearts. They had been trapped in the same realm for too long. In the past, it had been difficult for them to break through. Now that they had broken through, they suddenly felt like birds flying freely in the sky. Their minds were also broadened. Lu Ming also came forward to congratulate him. After a lively moment, Lu Ming returned to his residence. Lu Ming was currently living in a newly built city. He, Xian Yanqing, Lu Shenhuang, Lu Qi, his disciples, and his parents all lived in this city. Lu Ming entered a room and sat down cross-legged. A crystal appeared in his hand. This crystal was the size of a fist, and it was crystal clear. This crystal was called a divine crystal, and it was formed by pure divine qi. In the Netherworld Mountain, the divine stone that Lu Ming obtained was also condensed from divine aura. However, that kind of divine stone could be said to be a second-class divine crystal. The divine aura contained in it could not be compared to that of a divine crystal. Tens of thousands of divine stones were only equivalent to one divine crystal. After all, the Yellow Spring Mountain had been sealed in the primordial realm of the heaven realm. After a long time, the divine qi was no longer pure. The divine stones that were formed naturally could not be compared to divine crystals. Divine crystals were the hard currency of the divine world. They were divided into lower, middle, upper, and supreme grades. The divine crystal that Lu Ming had was a lower grade divine crystal. One piece was equivalent to tens of thousands of divine stones. Divine crystals of the middle grade and above were naturally rarer and more precious. Lu Ming had killed 7 or 8 empty God Realm experts who had invaded the Heaven Realm. On the dark underworld star, he had also killed a few experts from the Yuan Luo Palace. He had obtained some lower-grade divine crystals from their storage rings. In total, there were more than 5,000 pieces. If these 5,000 lower-grade divine crystals were exchanged for divine stones, it would be more than 100 million divine stones. If they were exchanged for supreme-grade primordial stones, it would be an astronomical figure. Primordial stones were only produced in the primordial realm of the heaven realm. There was a huge difference between them and divine crystals. Naturally, they could not be compared. Lu Ming tidied up the items in his hands and continued to cultivate. Time passed quickly. Soon, another year had passed. In this year, more people had broken through. The overall strength of the people from the heaven realm and primordial realm continued to increase. Moreover, many demigods had successfully broken through and entered the martial god realm. Almost all of the veteran demigods had entered the martial god realm. Even the Dandan, Titan Longhorn Beetle, 9 Lives Demon Silkworm, and the others were about to break through. Looming, I am about to break through. On this day, Xian Yinqing said to Lu Ming, about to break through? All right, I will protect you. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Xian Yinqing nodded. The two of them left the city and came to an open space. Xian Yinjuan. In front of them, there was a figure sitting cross-legged in midair. His body was emitting a bright, sacred light. It was a coincidence to meet Xie Ninjuan here. You are about to break through too? Xie Ninjuan looked at Xie Ninqing in surprise. That's right. Xie Ninqing nodded. I didn't expect your cultivation speed to be so fast after absorbing the memories of your past life. It makes me a little jealous. He. Xie Ninjuan smiled. If I don't cultivate faster, I will be surpassed by you. Xie Ninqing smiled faintly. Then he went to the other side and sat cross-legged in midair. His body was emitting a dark light. Xie Ninjuan did not say much. He closed his eyes and adjusted his condition. Boom! Boom! 3 days later, almost at the same time, shocking auras exploded from the two of them. A black pillar of light and a white pillar of light soared into the sky, breaking through the clouds. At that instant, many people fixed their gazes in their direction. Such a shocking aura! It seems like someone has broken through to the martial god realm. In the city, the ancestral dragon's eyes glittered as he sprang into the sky. He soon appeared not far away from Lu Ming. Following it, the heavenly lightning martial monarch and the others appeared too and observed from afar. Meanwhile, the auras emitted by Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan grew stronger as if there was no end to it. Rumble! The heavens and earth shook vigorously. Their figures were like two black holes as the god Qi between the heavens and earth gathered toward them and entered their bodies. Their auras skyrocketed once again as a terrifying aura burst out from them. This aura, why is it so shocking? How terrifying! It's more than 10 times stronger than when we broke through. How is this possible? The ancestral dragon, the chaotic martial monarch, the heavenly lightning martial monarch, and the others blurted out. Chapter 2584. The auras that Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan exuded were too shocking. Even those who had stabilized their empty god realm were shocked. Moreover, this was not the end. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's auras continued to rise. As time passed, the two of them seemed to have turned into 2 suns. One was as black as ink, while the other was as pure as a saint. It was as if 2 suns, one black and one white, were hanging in the sky, shining down on the entire grassland. At that moment, the grassland and the few hundred cities could all see what was going on. The commotion was too terrifying. The commotion caused by Shaoqing and Xian Yinjuan's breakthrough is far greater than that of the others. Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. At that moment, Lu Ming felt that the auras that Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan exuded were more than 10 times stronger than when the others had broken through. Moreover, it was still getting stronger. Swoosh! Not far away from Lu Ming, a light flashed and a figure appeared. It was the ancestor of techniques. It was obvious that even the ancestor of techniques was alarmed. Transformation. They are continuously transforming. Could it be that they are trying to control divine power? The ancestor of techniques muttered. His eyes were filled with shock. Huff, huff! The attractive force on Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan grew stronger and stronger. Endless divine qi rolled towards the two of them. However, it was obvious that it could not keep up with the speed of their refinement. Lu Ming's expression changed. He waved his hand, and many divine gems appeared. There was a total of 2,000 divine gems. 1,000 flew towards Xie Nianqing. 1,000 flew towards Xie Nianjuan. Once the divine gems reached their bodies, they exploded one by one and turned into rich divine qi. The divine qi flew into their bodies and was absorbed by them. After a day, the 1,000 divine gems were completely absorbed. However, the two of them had no intention of stopping. There are 3,000 divine gems left. Let's use them all. Lu Ming clenched his teeth and decided to throw out the remaining 3,000 God crystals. However, at that moment, the ancestor of techniques, who was not far from Lu Ming, waved his hand. Pieces of God crystals flew out towards Xie Nianqing and Xie Nianjuan. With a sweep of his spiritual awareness, Lu Ming knew that there were a total of 6,000 divine crystals, 3,000 for each person. Bang! Bang! The God crystals exploded one by one, transforming into divine energy that was absorbed by the two of them. However, even after several days had passed, the two of them did not stop cultivating. The ancestor of technique waved his hand again, and another 4,000 divine crystals flew out, 2,000 for each person. This time it was finally enough. When the two of them finished absorbing the 2,000 divine crystals, their auras finally reached their peak and then slowly stabilized. He had broken through the martial god realm. Xie Nianqing and Xie Nianjuan had both entered the martial god realm and were at level 1 empty god realm. Thank you, ancestor of techniques. Lu Ming flew towards the ancestor of techniques and cupped his fists to express his gratitude. This time, if the ancestor of techniques had not taken out 10,000 divine crystals, Lu Ming would not have had enough divine crystals. It's just a few divine crystals. You don't have to thank me. These two ladies are not simple. The ancestor of techniques said with a smile. Then he turned into a beam of light and left the place. They are not simple. Lu Ming mumbled to himself. When Xie Nianqing and Xie Nianjuan were below the martial god realm, their performance was already shocking. However, when they had broken through to the martial god realm, it was even more shocking. It was as if they had undergone some transformation. Xie Nianqing's past life, or Xie Nianjuan's past life, must have had an extraordinary background. Lu Ming had wanted to ask Xie Nianqing about it a few times. However, Xie Nianqing seemed to be hesitant and was unwilling to talk about it. Lu Ming wanted to ask Xie Nianjuan about it, but Xie Nianjuan was unwilling to talk about it. Lu Ming had no choice but to give up. Congratulations, congratulations! At that moment, Xie Nianqing and Xie Nianjuan's auras had stabilized. Ancestral Gragon and the others immediately went up to congratulate them. Entering the martial god realm was equivalent to entering another level of life and becoming a deity. It was the second step of cultivation. It was no small matter. Xie Nianjuan was cold. He nodded his head casually and stepped into the sky to leave the place. Thank you, seniors. Xie Nianqing nodded his head with a smile and flew towards Lu Ming. Not long after, Ancestral Gragon and the others left too. Shao Qing, how do you feel? Lu Ming held Xie Nianqing's hand and asked, I'm fine. Do you want to have a duel with me? Xie Nianqing blinked his eyes and looked at Lu Ming with a faint smile. What is it? Are you trying to trample me under your feet? Lu Ming teased. When he had first met Xie Nianqing had been thinking about trampling him under his feet every day. What? No way. Xie Nianqing glared at him. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Lu Ming smiled and planted a kiss on Xie Nianqing's lips. His figure drifted backward and stood opposite Xie Nianqing. You dare to take advantage of me? I'm going to take advantage of you. Xie Nianqing's eyes flickered. With a flicker, he charged at Lu Ming. So fast! Lu Ming was shocked. He stomped his foot heavily and retreated rapidly. Then his body emitted a dazzling purple-golden light. Lu Ming circulated his Tao of Sovereign to 80% and sent out a palm strike. The powerful palm strike surged toward Xian Yinqing like a tidal wave. Xian Yinqing also sent out a palm strike. His palm was wrapped in a layer of black light. Bang! Their palms collided. Lu Ming's expression changed instantly. He felt a terrifying force surging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt a sharp pain in his arm. He was knocked back 100 miles. What a powerful force! Lu Ming exclaimed in his heart. He had already used 80% of his strength, but he couldn't block Xia Nianqing's attack. He retreated, but Xia Nianqing didn't move at all. He didn't even sway. You'd better use your full strength. Otherwise, you're no match for me. Xia Nianqing smiled. Looks like I'll have to use my full strength. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He unleashed his Tao of Sovereign to the extreme. At the same time, he began to activate the battle formula. Lu Ming had not stopped comprehending the battle formula since he came here. His comprehension of the battle formula was getting deeper and deeper. The success rate of activating the battle formula to double one's combat strength was also increasing. In a few moments, Lu Ming succeeded in activating the battle formula, and his combat strength skyrocketed. Whoosh! Xian Yinqing rushed toward Lu Ming like a black stream of light and sent out another palm strike. Lu Ming also sent out a palm strike. Boom! The two exchanged blows for the second time. An earth-shattering explosion erupted in the sky. Then a figure was knocked back. It was still Lu Ming. This power, Lu Ming was shocked. He had unleashed his full strength and activated the battle formula to double one's combat strength. Such combat strength was enough to kill an ordinary level 2 empty god. However, he was still defeated by Xian Yinqing. Let's continue. Lu Ming's interest was piqued. He dashed toward Xian Yinqing without any scruples and unleashed his full strength. He and Xian Yinqing exchanged blows and engaged in a fierce battle. Chapter 2585. However, after exchanging a dozen blows with Xian Yinqing, Lu Ming was depressed to find that he was no match for Xian Yinqing and was completely crushed. Xian Yinqing's divine power was strong, condensed, and indestructible. Its power was shocking and unfathomable. I'm done. After exchanging a dozen blows, Lu Ming retreated and gave up. You're done? Then I'm going to take back what you've taken advantage of me. In a flash, Xian Yinqing appeared in front of Lu Ming and pressed her red lips against Lu Ming's. Lu Ming took the opportunity to grab Xian Yinqing's slender waist and pulled Xia Nianqing into his arms. His hands were already climbing up Xian Yinqing's breasts and fondling them wantonly. After a while, the two of them separated. You're really lucky, Xian Yinqing said with a slightly red face. Ha ha ha, we're already an old married couple. Don't be shy. Lu Ming laughed. Then, hand in hand, they strolled on the grassland. Shao Qing, is the divine power you're cultivating a divine-grade divine power? Lu Ming asked. After being here for a few months, Lu Ming had looked for Tong, to borrow some books to read. They were all general knowledge of the primitive universe. Lu Ming had learned a lot about the primitive universe, including cultivation. The divine power cultivated by the martial god realm was divided into different grades. The divine power cultivated by ordinary people was just ordinary divine power. Some geniuses cultivated divine power that was more powerful and condensed than ordinary divine power. It had different mysteries. This kind of divine power was called king-grade divine power. Above king-grade divine power, there was an even higher grade of divine power called divine-grade divine power. Those who could control divine power were all peerless geniuses that were 1 in a billion. Every one of them had amazing combat power, and it was easy for them to challenge those of a higher level. Lu Ming suspected that the godly power Xian Yinqing cultivated was saint godly power. Of course, above the saint grade divine 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 powers were even rarer. Every type of divine grade divine power had endless uses. Every person who could control a divine grade divine power was a genius among geniuses, unparalleled and unparalleled in this world. For example, when Lu Ming broke through to the martial god realm, the path of ruler would transform into ruler god energy, which was a kind of divine grade god energy. The martial art I practice and my physique are quite unique. Below the martial god realm, I'm still in the process of establishing my foundation. Once I break through to the martial god realm, I'll undergo a transformation and grow stronger rapidly. I'm currently at the sacred god force, but I'll still grow stronger in the future. I might even surpass your ruler god force by then. Xian Yinqing explained with a smile. All right then, I'll rely on you to protect me from now on. Lu Ming said with a smile. The two of them chatted and laughed as they walked. After a while, they returned to their residence. After returning to his room, Lu Ming sat down with his legs crossed. It's about time for me to break through, Lu Ming muttered. After this period of cultivation, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of a 2-star heavenly emperor, and he could break through to a 3-star heavenly emperor now. Lu Ming took out the remaining divine crystals on him and began to cultivate. The power of the world and ruler god energy in his body circulated rapidly as Lu Ming began to break through to the next level. Bam! Bam! Pieces of divine crystals exploded and turned into divine qi that was absorbed by Lu Ming. At the same time, the divine qi in the heavens and earth surged toward Lu Ming. Rumble! The power of the world and power of the world in Lu Ming's body became stronger and stronger. However, the ratio of the power of the world was slowly increasing. Breaking through with divine crystals was much faster than in the heaven realm. In just a few days, a powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body. His cultivation had broken through to become a 3-star heavenly emperor. His strength had also increased by a level. With my current combat strength, if I activate the battle word tactic to double my combat strength, I should be able to fight with a 3-level void god realm. Lu Ming estimated his own combat strength. When he was a 2-star heavenly emperor, before activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength was still a little lacking compared to a 3-level void god realm. Slightly inferior, because the gap between each level of the void god realm was greater than the heavenly emperor realm. Now that he had broken through to a 3-star heavenly emperor, without activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level void god realm existence and even defeat the other party. After activating the battle word tactic to double his combat strength, he was confident that he could fight with a 3-level void god realm existence. Of course, the opponents he was referring to were those who had mastered ordinary divine powers. It was naturally difficult for those who had mastered royal divine powers and above to do so. However, there aren't many divine crystals left. Lu Ming sighed. He originally had 5,000 divine crystals. Previously, he had used 2,000 for Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan, leaving him with 3,000. When he had broken through to a 3-star heavenly emperor, he had used more than 2,000 divine crystals. He was only left with a few hundred divine crystals. He suddenly felt very poor and was under great pressure. Now he had a big family to feed. His son, granddaughter, parents, and disciples all needed resources for their cultivation. Now, their cultivation was not particularly high. The remaining supreme grade origin stones and divine stones on him were enough for their use. Moreover, the cultivation environment here was very good, and he did not need divine crystals for the time being. However, as his cultivation increased, he would definitely need divine crystals in the future. How could Lu Ming not prepare some divine crystals on him? Moreover, he needed a large amount of divine crystals for his own cultivation. Otherwise, he would not have any resources for his next breakthrough. How can I earn some divine crystals? Lu Ming could not help but think about this problem. Previously, when Xian Yanqing and the others had broken through, the ancestor of technique had already taken out 10,000 divine crystals. Now, he naturally could not be thick-skinned enough to ask the ancestor of technique for divine crystals. The ancestor of technique was already good enough for them. Let's go out and see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn divine crystals. Thinking of this, Lu Ming walked out of the room and flew in the direction of the righteous army. Lu Ming had just arrived at the righteous army when he heard someone call out to him, "Miss Shear." Lu Ming smiled. "Lu Ming, why are you free to come to the righteous army today?" Tong Shear smiled. "I wanted to see if there are any missions in the righteous army that can earn me some divine crystals." Lu Ming smiled bitterly. "Earn divine crystals? Why don't you go to 10,000 Gold Star and hunt down desolate beasts there and obtain their cores? You can sell them for a lot of divine crystals." Tong Shear said, "How should we go to 10,000 Gold Star?" Lu Ming asked, "I happen to want to go to 10,000 Gold Star to hunt desolate beasts. Let's go together. However, the two of us are a little short. I originally wanted to go to the Righteous Army's mission hall to find a few more people." Tong Shear said, "I'll go find 2 people." Lu Ming said, he thought of Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan. "All right, I'll go rent a space battleship. We'll meet here tomorrow." Tong Shear said. Chapter 2586. Rent an interstellar battleship? Lu Ming was taken aback. That's right. Wanjingxing isn't a planet occupied by the righteous army. This planet is very special. It's completely made of various metals. The desolate beasts on it are also made of metal. Furthermore, this planet isn't occupied by any faction. Many factions can go there to hunt desolate beasts. Therefore, our righteous army doesn't have a teleportation array that leads directly to Wanjingxing. We can only teleport to a location closest to Wanjingxing and then fly there on an interstellar battleship. Tong Shear explained. Then the cost of renting an interstellar battleship isn't low, right? Lu Ming said. Renting it once costs 1,000 deity crystals. Tong Shear said. 1,000 deity crystals. Lu Ming was shocked. This price was really shockingly expensive. There's no other way. Interstellar battleships are too precious. Our righteous army only has a dozen or so interstellar battleships. Moreover, they're all of the lowest grade. They can't fly too far. Flying in space for a year is the limit. Any further and we won't be able to. Moreover, every time an interstellar battleship travels across space, it needs to be maintained. Therefore, the price charged is naturally expensive. It is said that some of the major forces have even higher grade starships, and the rental fee is even higher. However, those starships are not only faster, but they can also fly a longer distance in the starry sky for a longer period of time. Tong, Shir explained. Lu Ming sighed inwardly. It seemed like he still didn't know enough about the primitive universe. Miss Shi, can you pay for the rental of the interstellar battleship first? When I earn more deity crystals, I'll pay you back, Lu Ming said with a red face. He was really poor and couldn't take out so many deity crystals. It's fine. Tong Shi smiled faintly and bid farewell to Lu Ming. Lu Ming returned to his residence and found Xia Nianqing. He told Xia Nianqing about this matter, and Xia Nianqing agreed. Then, the two of them went to find Xia Nianjuan. All right, I'll go with you. Xia Nianjuan readily agreed. In fact, Xia Nianjuan was also in dire need of divine crystals for cultivation. Hunting desolate beasts to earn divine crystals was exactly what she wanted. In the blink of an eye, it was the second day. Lu Ming, Xia Nianqing, and Xia Nianjuan arrived at the place where they had agreed to meet Tong Shi yesterday. Tong Shi was already waiting there. What beautiful women! Tong Shi looked at Xia Nianqing and Xia Nianjuan with amazement in her eyes. Let's go. Tong Shi took the lead. Soon they arrived at the Righteous Sky Army's interstellar teleportation formation. The teleportation array in the primitive universe looked similar to the teleportation array in the primordial realm in the heaven realm. After they stepped into the teleportation array, they felt dizzy and disappeared from the teleportation array. The distance to Wanjingxing wasn't close. Along the way, they would need to switch to another transmission array to reach the nearest planet to Wanjingxing, planet Tingguang. After 3 transfers, they arrived at planet Tingguang. Planet Tingguang was the planet closest to Wanjingxing among the planets occupied by the Righteous Sky Army. After arriving at planet Tingguang, Tong Shi took out her interstellar battleship. After the 4 of them entered the interstellar battleship tore through the sky and flew towards Wanjingxing. The interstellar battleship would take a month to reach Wanjingxing. The 4 of them cultivated as they waited. A month later, a huge planet appeared in front of them. In terms of size, this planet was far smaller than the Righteous Sky Star or the Dark Underworld Star. However, it was very special. From afar, it looked like a huge gemstone floating in the cosmos, shining brightly. According to Tong Shi-er's introduction, most of the materials on Wanjingxing were all kinds of strange metals. Even the living beings on it weren't made of flesh and blood, but of metal. The desolate beasts on it were the same, and the beast cores condensed in the bodies of these desolate beasts were a precious material for refining artifacts. The higher the level and the higher the cultivation of the desolate beast, the more precious and expensive the beast core condensed. This attracted many experts from various factions to hunt desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. Rumble. The interstellar battleship entered Wanjingxing's atmosphere. The friction with the atmosphere produced a loud, rumbling sound. At this moment, the 4 of them exited the interstellar battleship and stood high in the sky. The interstellar battleship quickly shrank and was put away by Tong Shi-er. Let's go down. This wasn't Tong Shi-er's first time here. She took the lead and flew down. Below them was a boundless forest. It's indeed all metal. As they approached the forest, Lu Ming was secretly amazed. The trees and all kinds of vegetation here were actually made of all kinds of strange metals. Lu Ming saw iron trees, silver flowers, and golden fruits. Of course, these ordinary metals were of no use to them, so they ignored them. The vast thousand realms really have all kinds of strange things. Lu Ming sighed. The vast thousand realms in the primitive universe were indeed more wonderful than the small thousand realms. The entire planet was made of all kinds of metals. The plants and living beings on it were all made of metal. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. Legend had it that in the vast cosmos there were even more wonderful planets. Some were even beyond imagination. As they approached the forest, Tong Shi slowed down. We have to be careful in Jinxing. Not only are the desolate beasts dangerous, but the experts from other factions are even more dangerous. Tong Shu said. Lu Ming nodded. He understood that many factions would come here to hunt desolate beasts. There were probably many experts on Jinxing. It was very normal for the experts from different factions to hunt people from other factions and snatch their beast cores. The 4 of them landed in the forest. They concealed their auras and ran forward slowly. Roar! Suddenly, there was a roar in front of them. Then there was a flash of silver light. They saw a huge figure rushing towards them. Retreat! The 4 of them retreated quickly. Boom! The earth rumbled. The metal on the ground exploded and splattered everywhere. A huge creature appeared where Lu Ming and the others were standing. It was a huge ape. It was more than 30 meters tall, and its body was silver white as if it was made of silver. Even the hair on its skin looked like silver needles. Roar! The huge silver ape roared angrily. Its silver eyes emitted a cold luster. It charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Its fist, which was the size of a small house, blasted towards Lu Ming and the others with a terrifying whistling sound. Let me deal with it. Lu Ming rushed over. He circulated his power of sovereign and punched out. Dong! There was a dull roar. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him. He couldn't help but retreat. However, the huge ape also retreated a few steps. The ground under its feet kept exploding. What a terrifying force! What a hard fist! There was a gleam in Lu Ming's eyes. Chapter 2587. The giant ape was shockingly powerful. Its entire body was made up of metal and was extremely sturdy. Regardless of its defense or strength, it was extremely terrifying, surpassing other living beings of the same level. The giant ape was at level 2 empty god realm, but it was stronger than the other level 2 empty gods that Lu Ming had encountered before. Roar! The giant ape retreated and let out a furious roar. It then charged towards Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming took out his sacred weapon combat sword and charged towards the giant ape. Dang! Dang! Lu Ming's combat sword clashed with the giant silver ape continuously. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. Sparks flew everywhere as the 2 of them clashed. The giant silver ape was ultimately no match for Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming did not activate the battle formula to double his fighting strength, he could still suppress the giant silver ape with the battle formula, his cultivation as a 3-star heavenly emperor, physical strength, etc. The giant silver ape retreated continuously. Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, and Tong Xir did not attack. They formed a circle and stood at the side, guarding their surroundings. They were afraid that other experts or wild beasts would sneak up on them. Dang! 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 Lu Ming and the giant silver ape exchanged more than 10 blows. Finally, Lu Ming seized the opportunity and beheaded the giant silver ape. Phew! Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. The giant silver ape was really hard to kill. Luckily, the giant silver ape does not have much intelligence. Otherwise, it would be even harder to deal with. Lu Ming sighed. It is said that in the chaotic universe, there are metal life forms with intelligence. They are an extremely powerful race. Among the countless races in the chaotic universe, they are ranked at the top. Tong Xu said, there really are metal life forms with intelligence. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. Afterward, Lu Ming broke open the giant silver ape's chest and took out a round piece of metal from inside. This was the giant silver ape's beast core. A level 2 empty god realm metal beast core could be exchanged for 10 divine gems. An ordinary level 1 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 5 divine gems. A level 2 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 10 divine gems, and a level 3 empty god realm metal beast core was worth 20 divine gems. As the level of the beast core increased, its value also increased. As long as he could kill 100 level 2 empty God realm wild beasts, he would be able to recoup the rent of the space battleship. The rest would be earned. Let's gather the beast cores together first, and then divide them equally. Lu Ming suggested. All right. Tong Shear nodded. Then, the group continued forward. Not long after they left, 2 figures flashed, and 2 middle-aged men appeared in the air. It's Tong Shi-er, the genius of the righteous army, Tong Shi-er. Ha ha ha! I didn't expect Tong Shi-er to dare to come here, and there are 2 other girls as well. Be real. Let's go back and report to His Excellency and ask him to send experts to capture these people. When the time comes, we'll play with them a little before killing them. Go! In a flash, the 2 middle-aged men disappeared from the place. Lu Ming and the group continued forward. After a while, they encountered a level 1 empty God realm wild beast, which was easily killed by Tong Shi. Lu Ming could see that Tong Shi-er's cultivation had reached the peak of level 1 empty God realm, and she was not far from level 2 empty God realm. Moreover, her combat strength was shocking, far surpassing experts of the same level. Back then, when Lu Ming was a level 2 heavenly emperor, he had activated the battle word incantation to double his combat strength. However, he was only able to fight Tong Shi-er to a draw. Now Lu Ming knew that Tong Shi-er possessed king-grade divine power and was a genius. Roar! Roar! As they went deeper into the forest, they encountered more and more wild beasts. However, most of them were level 1 and level 2 empty God realm beasts. As long as there were not many of them, they were easily killed. Not long after, they had killed 15 level 1 empty God realm wild beasts and 5 level 2 empty God realm wild beasts. Dong! Dong! Suddenly the ground shook. A few huge wolves that were as black as ink dashed out from a canyon in front of them. These huge wolves were as though they were made of black iron. They were 10 meters tall and 20 meters long and exuded a terrifying aura. Oh no! There are 2 level 3 empty God realm beasts. Tong Shi-er's face changed drastically. There were a total of 4 huge wolves. 2 of them were level 3 empty God realm beasts, and the other 2 were level 2 empty God realm beasts. Let's retreat and charge out, Tong Shi shouted. If there was only 1 level 3 empty God realm beast, they could still fight if they joined forces. However, they were in danger if there were 2 level 3 empty God realm beasts and 2 level 2 empty God realm beasts. No need, we can fight. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He had not given his all. Moreover, he knew Xian Yinqing's combat strength very well. It was easy for him to deal with a level 3 empty God realm beast. Moreover, Xian Yinjuan's strength was definitely not weaker than Xian Yinqing's. Fight? Lu Ming, have you broken through? Tong Shi-er was stunned. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. All right, let's fight. Tong Shi-er gritted her teeth and said. Before Lu Ming had broken through, his combat strength was not weaker than hers. Now that he had broken through, it should not be a problem for him to deal with a level 3 empty God realm huge wolf. She might be able to fight if she tried her best to hold back a huge wolf. However, just as she finished speaking, Xian Yinjuan charged out towards a level 3 empty God realm huge wolf. Oh no! Tong Shi-er's face changed. She felt that Xian Yinjuan was too impulsive. Xian Yinjuan's cultivation was only at level 1 empty God realm. No matter how powerful he was at most on par with her. It was too dangerous for him to charge out like that. However, before she could stop him, Xian Yinjuan had already attacked. Her body emitted a holy light. She clenched her fist, and a holy light sword was formed. She then slashed down. Roar! A level 3 empty God realm huge wolf roared and charged towards Xian Yinjuan. Its huge claws slapped down, and a terrifying hurricane was formed. However, When the sword radiance in Xian Yinjuan's hand collided with the huge wolf's claws, the result was unexpected. Bam! The huge wolf howled and retreated. There was a deep sword mark on its metal claws, and it had almost cut off its claws. So powerful? Tong Shi'er was dumbfounded. Swoosh! Xian Yinjuan gained the upper hand with this one move. Her figure fluttered, and she once again attacked the giant wolf. Her sword flashed, and in the blink of an eye, she slashed out a dozen times. Each strike was faster and stronger than the last, forcing the giant wolf to retreat again and again. On its metallic body, there were many deep sword marks. Roar! 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 The other 3 huge wolves roared and charged towards Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yinqing moved and charged towards another level 3 empty god realm huge wolf. He struck out his palm and forced the huge wolf to retreat. Attack! Lu Ming shouted softly. In a flash, he charged toward the 2 giant wolves at the 2nd level of the void god realm. Tong Shi'er woke up from her daze and charged out as well. Xian Yinjuan and Xian Yinqing's combat strength completely suppressed the level 3 empty god realm huge wolves. Within a few moves, the 2 huge wolves were killed. Chapter 2588. After Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan had killed the 2 level 3 empty god realm huge metal wolves, their bodies swayed and their long swords swept across the sky. The 2 level 2 empty god realm huge wolves that were fighting with Lu Ming and Xian Yinjuan were also split into 2. Their combat strength is so strong. Tong Shi'er looked at Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan in shock. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan were only level 1 empty god realm cultivators, which was the same as her. She had thought that even if the 2 of them were strong, they could not be that strong. However, she realized that she was wrong. She estimated that Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's combat strength was enough to fight with a level 4 empty god realm cultivator. They were only level 1 empty god realm cultivators, but they could fight with a level 4 empty god realm cultivator. Divine power. They must have mastered divine power. Tong Shi'er exclaimed. At the same time she sighed. Lu Ming was already strong enough. She had not expected the people around him to be so strong as well. Lu Ming smiled. With Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan helping him, he was happy and relaxed. After that, they took out the beast cores of the 4 huge wolves. The beast cores of the 4 huge wolves were worth 60 divine gems. They were not cheap. After taking out the beast cores, they continued to move forward. There were no strong wild beasts in the forest. After walking for a while, they did not meet any level 4 empty god realm cultivators. The strongest one was level 3 empty god realm cultivators. With Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan around, he and Tong Shi'er had an easy time. Shao Qing and Xian Yinjuan's combat skills are really amazing. Along the way, even Lu Ming was impressed. Lu Ming himself could be considered a natural combat genius. His combat awareness was very strong. However, compared to Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan, he was still inferior. Their battle techniques were exquisite to the extreme, and they could often use the least amount of strength to defeat their enemies. Even if his godly power was about the same as theirs, he might not be a match for them. Lu Ming guessed that this might have something to do with their experiences in their previous lives. As time passed, their harvest grew bigger and bigger. Soon, they would be able to earn back the 1,000 divine crystals they had spent on renting the Starry Sky battleship. Just as Lu Ming and company were hunting desolate beasts, there was a mountain peak a distance away from them. On one of the mountain peaks, there were a few people gathered. These people all retracted their auras and were very careful. The 2 burly men who had discovered Lu Ming's trail appeared on the mountain peak and reported to a bald man. What? The righteous army's Tong Shi'er has come to Wanjingsing? The bald man's eyes were filled with a cold light. That's right, and there are only 4 of them. One of them answered. 4. What are their cultivations? The bald man asked. Tong Shi Er's cultivation is still at level 1 empty god realm, and there are 2 other women who are also at level 1 empty god realm. The other man has the ability to kill a level 2 empty god realm martial artist. One of them bowed and reported. They are all at level 1 empty god realm. Good, good, good. This time we will capture Tong Shi Er and let the young master play with her. Capture the other 2 women for us to enjoy. As for the man, we will kill him. The righteous army dares to go against the Yuan Luo Palace. They will die sooner or later. The bald man sneered. These people were from the Yuan Luo Palace. The 3 of you are all at level 3 empty god realm. It is more than enough to deal with Tong, Shi, and the others. Go and bring them here. The bald man ordered 3 of the burly men in black armor. Yes, the 3 burly men in black armor cupped their fists. Wait. Suddenly the bald man shouted and said, in order to be absolutely safe, Old Man Shao, go with them. All right, that will do. An old man with a face full of wrinkles chuckled, although he felt that 3 level 3 empty god realm martial artists were more than enough to deal with a few juniors. He was at level 4 empty god realm. However, the bald man was at level 5 empty god realm and had the strongest cultivation among them. Thus, he could not reject him directly. Old Man Shao and the 3 burly men in black armor left in a flash. The bald man looked at the bottom of a cliff in front of him. There was a cave under the cliff. Golden rays of light shot out from the cave from time to time. There was a bird's nest near the cave. A giant metal eagle was lying in the nest. The bald man looked at the cave with a burning gaze. However, when he saw the giant eagle, his expression turned serious. Treasure, treasure, I must get it. The greed in the bald man's eyes became even more intense. They were from Yuan Luo Hall. Not long ago, they had come to Wanjingxing together to hunt wild beasts and obtain beast cores. However, 2 days ago, a few people from Yuan Luo Hall had accidentally entered the cave and found a treasure. It was a spiritual metal ball. Just as the people from Yuan Luo Hall were about to take the metal ball, the giant metal eagle appeared and killed the people from Yuan Luo Hall. Only one of them had luckily escaped and reported the news to him. His heart immediately burned with passion. A metal ball with spirituality was definitely a rare treasure. He immediately brought people here. However, when he saw the giant metal eagle, he stopped. Although he was a level 5 empty god realm martial artist, the giant metal eagle was a level 7 empty god realm martial artist. If they were to charge forward, they would definitely die. Therefore, he led his men to guard the cave. He wanted to wait for the giant metal eagle to leave before he entered the cave and took the spiritual metal ball. Later, he heard news about Tong Shi Lu Ming, and the others. Lu Ming and the others naturally knew nothing about this. They went deep into the forest and hunted wild beasts. Their harvest was getting bigger and bigger. Smiles appeared on their faces. Based on this progress, they only needed to hunt wild beasts in Wanjingxing for a period of time. It wouldn't be a problem for each of them to earn about 10,000 divine gems. Who is it? Just as they were traveling through the forest in search of desolate beasts to kill, Xian Yinjuan's gaze suddenly looked in a certain direction. Then Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's gazes shifted and they looked in that direction. Little girl, your spiritual sense is quite sharp. A cold laugh was heard. Then a figure flashed in that direction, and 4 figures appeared. These 4 people were Old Man Shao from Yuan Luo Hall and the 3 brawny men in black armor. You are from Yuan Luo Hall. Tong Shi Er's expression suddenly changed. That's right. Old Man Shao laughed coldly. His narrow eyes swept across Tong Shi Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yinjuan. Especially when he looked at Xian Yanqing and Xian Yinjuan, his eyes were burning with passion. Tong Shi Young Master Kong Long misses you very much. take you down and give you to young master. Young master will definitely reward you handsomely. Hee hee. Old man Xiao licked his lips as a powerful aura emanated from his body. Level 4 Empty God Realm. Tong, Shi-Er's face turned pale. Chapter 2589. Old man Xiao exuded a powerful rank 4 Empty God Realm aura. At the same time, the 3 burly men in black armor also exuded rank 3 Empty God Realm aura. The terrifying aura was like a violent hurricane that pressed down on Lu Ming and the rest. Leave this old man to me. At this moment, Xie Nianjuan spoke. A look of disgust flashed across her eyes. Just now, when old man Xiao had looked at her with that gaze, she had already made up her mind to kill him. Swoosh! Xie Nianjuan waved her hand and broke through old man Zhao's aura suppression. She then stepped towards old man Xiao. Old man Zhao's eyes narrowed. It was not easy for someone to break through his aura. Little girl, since you are in such a hurry, I will fulfill your wish. Hee hee. Old man Xiao laughed. A shriveled hand appeared and grabbed at Xie Nianjuan. A pitch-black hand appeared and grabbed at Xie Nianjuan. Swoosh! Xie Nianjuan's hand was filled with sacred light, and it turned into a sacred light sword. With a slash, the sacred light sword sliced old man Zhao's hand into 2. Following which, the sacred light sword vibrated and turned into sword shadows that enveloped old man Xiao. Old man Xiao was shocked. Xie Nianjuan's strength was far beyond his imagination. It did not seem like the combat strength of a rank 1 Empty God Realm martial artist. Boom! The divine force in old man Zhao's body exploded. A dragon head walking stick appeared in his hand. Like a violent storm, he attacked Xie Nianjuan. However, Xie Nianjuan's sacred light sword vibrated and sword shadows appeared. In an instant, hundreds of sword shadows appeared and slashed at old man Xiao from all directions. Every sword shadow seemed to hit old man Zhao's weak points. Old man Zhao's attack was extinguished before it could even reach half of its target. He could only retreat and defend himself. Xie Nianjuan followed up. Sword radiance surged and enveloped old man Xiao. Damn it, old man Xiao roared. He was so aggrieved that he almost vomited blood. His divine power was definitely not weaker than Xie Nianjuan's. However, he was completely suppressed by Xie Nianjuan during the battle. Xie Nianjuan's sword light completely controlled the situation and the rhythm of the battle. He couldn't display his strength at all. He had never encountered such a situation before. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This level of control. Tong, Shi-Er was even more astonished. Xie Nianjuan's control was too strong. He had complete control of the battle. The strength of her divine power was about the same as old man Zhao's, but the battle was one-sided. This was the skill and experience of battle. Only with great strength could one achieve this. Xie Nianjuan's age seemed to be about the same as hers, but he was able to control the rhythm of the battle so powerfully. She couldn't help but be amazed. All of you attack together. Kill her, kill her. Old man Xiao roared and ordered the 3 black-armored burly men to attack. A long spear appeared in each of the 3 black-armored burly men's hands. They circulated their divine power and were about to attack Xie Nianjuan. Your opponent is me, Xie Nianqing said coldly. His figure flashed, and he also charged out. The sword radiance in his hand slashed out violently, enveloping the 3 black-armored burly men. Clang! 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 After 3 consecutive collisions, the 3 black-armored burly men retreated. Little Qing, leave one for me. Lu Ming also charged out and continuously used the battle character art. Boom! The battle character art's double combat strength was activated. Lu Ming's combat strength sword He took out his divine artifact battle sword and slashed at one of the black-armored, burly men. Lu Ming hadn't fought with his full strength since his cultivation had broken through. This was a good time to practice with this black-armored, burly man. Xian Yanqing withdrew his sword radiance and left one of the black-armored, burly men to Lu Ming. Clang! Lu Ming's battle sword slashed at the black-armored, burly man. There was a loud explosion, and both of them shook. Rank 3 Empty God Realm is indeed powerful. Again, Lu Ming took a step forward and charged forward again, launching a barrage of attacks. Clang! Clang! Lu Ming and the black-armored, burly man exchanged blows fiercely. On the other hand, Xian Yanqing was dealing with the 2 black-armored, burly men. It was a one-sided fight. Xian Yanqing's combat strength was not much weaker than Xian Yanjuan's. It was naturally easy for him to deal with the 2 rank 3 empty gods. Tong, she stood at the side in a daze. She realized that she couldn't interfere in such a fight, and there was no need for her to do so. Poof! Poof! After dozens of blows, the 2 black-armored, burly men were killed and blood splattered everywhere. How can this be? How can this be? Old Man Xiao was shocked. He couldn't believe it. The cultivation realms of Lu Ming's group were similar to the information that he had received previously. However, their combat strength had nothing to do with their cultivation realms. It was too terrifying. A rank 1 empty god was actually able to suppress him. Divine power, peerless supreme talent, retreat, retreat. Old Man Xiao was afraid and wanted to escape. However, he realized that he couldn't escape from Xian Yanjuan's sword radiance. Poof! Old Man Xiao panicked and was even more defeated. Not long after, Xian Yanjuan's sword slashed across his body, leaving a deep wound that almost cut him into 2. Xian Yanjuan's terrifying divine power ran amok in Old Man Zhao's body, causing him to vomit blood and his strength to weaken. In this way, Old Man Xiao was no match for Xian Yanjuan. Poof! Within 2 blows, Old Man Zhao's eyes were destroyed by Xian Yanjuan's sword radiance. Ah! Old Man Xiao screamed and attacked wildly. Old man, I'll send you on your way. Xian Yanjuan said coldly. The sword radiance slashed again, and in the next instant, Old Man Zhao's head flew out. A level 4 empty god realm existence was killed. Old Man Zhao's eyes were wide open, and he died with remaining grievances. He had never imagined that he, a rank 4 empty god, would die in the hands of a rank 1 empty god. The brawny man who was fighting with Lu Ming was almost scared to death when he saw that the others had been killed. He panicked, and Lu Ming seized the opportunity to kill him. At this point, the 4 experts from Yuan Luo Hall were all killed. My cultivation is still too weak. Lu Ming sighed. Lu Ming's shortcoming was his cultivation. His current cultivation was only that of a 3-star heavenly emperor. If his cultivation broke through to the empty god realm, killing these clowns would be a piece of cake. The few of them kept the storage rings of Old Man Xiao and the other 3. It seems that Yuan Luo Hall also has people on the Myriad Gold Star. These 4 people are probably only a part of them. Tong, Shear said with a grave expression. Let's leave this place first. Be careful in the future. Lu Ming said. In a flash, the 4 of them left the place. They did not hunt any wild beasts. They ran for hundreds of thousands of miles before stopping and continuing to hunt wild beasts. In the blink of an eye, another day had passed, and they arrived at a mountain peak. Why aren't there any wild beasts in this area? Tong, Xia whispered. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Xian Yanjuan nodded. They had patrolled the area and did not encounter any wild beasts. This area was quiet. Chapter 2590. Could this area be the territory of some powerful, desolate beast? Xian Yanqing suddenly said. Lu Ming and Tong, Er's expressions changed. This was very likely. Many powerful, desolate beasts had the concept of territory. Some powerful, desolate beasts would occupy a territory, and other desolate beasts would not dare to stay in this territory. Let's be careful, Lu Ming said in a low voice. Immediately, they withdrew their auras and wanted to retreat in the direction they had come from. There are many living beings on that mountain. They are not metallic life forms, but flesh and blood life forms. At this moment, Xian Yinjuan looked at a mountain peak not far away and said, "Life forms of flesh and blood, then they are just like us, outsiders." Lu Ming said. He did not doubt Xian Yinjuan's senses. Xian Yinjuan had completely awakened the memories of her past life. Her current life had merged with her past life. Her methods were simply unfathomable. Let's go take a look, Xie Nianqing suggested. Everyone nodded and carefully moved towards another mountain peak. Not long after, they climbed up another mountain peak, found a secluded place, and looked ahead. Immediately, they saw a group of living beings. There were about 20 of them. Among them, there were living beings with a single horn on their head, snake men, and living beings with scales on their skin. There were at least 6 or 7 races among the 20 people. Some of them wore black battle armor, exactly the same as the 3 black-armored brawny men they had met before. "They are from the Yuan Luo Palace," Tong Xie whispered. Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and Xian Yinjuan's eyes flashed with cold light. They realized that the Yuan Luo Palace people seemed to be very careful. They hid in the shadows and looked in other directions. They did not notice Lu Ming's group at all. They looked in the direction the people from the Yuan Luo Palace were looking and saw a giant metal eagle at the bottom of a cliff. There was also a cave. From time to time, golden rays of light would spread out from the cave. Could it be that there are treasures in that cave? Lu Ming and the others were all smart people. When they saw this situation, they thought about it and understood what was going on. Clearly, there were treasures inside the cave. However, there was a terrifying giant metal eagle guarding outside the cave. The people of the Yuan Luo Palace didn't dare to make a move. They were hiding there, waiting for the giant metal eagle to leave. Then let's be the Oriole. Lu Ming revealed a faint smile. The rest nodded as well. After that, they also waited here. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Caw! Caw! At this moment, the giant metal eagle cried out. Its body that had been lying on the ground also stood up. Its cold eyes scanned the surroundings. Then, with a flap of its wings, its huge body soared into the sky. Lu Ming and the others hurriedly hid in the shadows. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. This giant metal eagle was absolutely terrifying. If he was discovered, he would be done for. Soon, the giant metal eagle soared into the sky and flew into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the people of the Yuan Luo Palace turned into streaks of rainbow light and rushed towards the cliff. What should we do? Tong, looked at Lu Ming and the others. There were so many people in the Yuan Luo Palace. There were many experts among them. No matter how strong Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan were, they wouldn't be a match for them. Borrow a knife to kill. No, borrow a bird to kill. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Tong, Er's eyes lit up. At this moment, more than 20 people from the Yuan Luo Palace had rushed to the bottom of the cliff. They left a few people to guard the entrance of the cave while the others rushed into the cave. Wait for me here. Lu Ming's figure flashed and left the mountain. After descending the mountain, Lu Ming took out a battle sword and poured the power of the ruler into it. Whoosh! A shocking sword ray soared into the sky, piercing through the firmament. Even from far away, one could see it. Then, the sword light slashed violently towards the cave. Damn it! The people guarding the cave were instantly enraged. They all moved to block the sword light. Rumble! Sword chi soared into the sky. Lu Ming turned around and left after slashing with his sword. His goal wasn't to deal with the people of the Yuanluo Palace, but to cause a commotion and lure the giant eagle back. Now that he had achieved his goal, he naturally left. Caw! In the distance, a loud cry resounded through the sky. The giant metal eagle had clearly seen the sword gleam and returned at top speed. Damn it, damn it! Angry roars came from the cave. The people of the Yuanluo Palace all rushed out of the cave. The leader of the group, the bald man, roared furiously. Who is it? The bald man emitted a cold, murderous aura as he looked at the gatekeepers. It's a youth. One of them said, Caw! An ear-piercing cry resounded. A black that appeared in the distance. The giant eagle had returned. Run! The bald man roared furiously as he ran madly into the distance. He was furious. He had just entered the cave and hadn't even taken the treasure, but someone had already alerted him. The giant eagle had returned. Now he could only run for his life. More than 20 experts of the Yuanluo Palace ran madly. Caw! The ear-piercing sound came closer and closer. The giant metal eagle was too fast. Its wingspan was at least 100 meters wide. It chased after the people of the Yuanluo Palace like a bolt of lightning. Ah! In the distance, a miserable scream sounded, as well as an angry roar, gradually disappearing into the distance. Let's go! Lu Ming's group seized the opportunity and rushed into the cave. There wasn't much time left. They had to seize the opportunity to take the treasure and leave. If the giant eagle returned, they would be in danger. They rushed to the entrance of the cave like 4 rays of light and rushed in without hesitation. There was a tunnel inside the cave that was 100 meters long. They rushed through the tunnel and appeared in a giant cave. They were startled as soon as they rushed into the cave. This cave was overflowing with light and color. There were all kinds of different colored metals, shining brilliantly. Moreover, many of the metals were in the shape of plants and had metal flowers blooming. But other than these, there was nothing else. Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed that a part of the wall was slightly different. There was a part of the wall that was slightly different in color. Lu Ming walked over. When Lu Ming walked over, the part of the wall that was different in color actually started to wriggle. It was actually a pool of liquid metal. It was motionless earlier, but now that Lu Ming walked over, it started to move. The golden liquid metal quickly wriggled and turned into a metal ball. With a whoosh, it flew in another direction. A metal ball. The 4 of them were astonished. Could it be that the treasure was this metal ball? Grab it. The 4 of them did not hesitate and rushed toward the metal ball from 4 directions. Chapter 2591. Swoosh! Swoosh! The metal ball was extremely fast. It was like a bolt of golden lightning as it flew around the cave. The 4 of them were unable to stop it. Stay here! Lu Ming used his sovereign Dao to cover the area as he tried to grab the metal ball. The metal ball seemed to be afraid as it quickly retreated. Xian Yinjuan was on the other side. She reached out her hand and was about to grab the metal ball. However, the metal ball suddenly expanded and became a large ball with a diameter of a few meters. It collided with Xia Nianjuan's palm. Boom! There was a loud explosion, and Xia Nianjuan's body shook as she was pushed back. What a terrifying power! Everyone's hearts trembled. Although Xia Nianjuan's cultivation was only at rank 1 empty god realm, her divine power was strong enough to fight against a rank for empty god realm expert. However, she was pushed back by the metal ball. The metal ball was pushed back by Xian Yinjuan, and it flew towards Tong Shi. Tong Shi's face changed. She did not have Xia Nianjuan's power. A long sword appeared in her hand, and she stabbed it towards the metal ball. However, at that moment, a shocking scene appeared. A big mouth suddenly appeared on the smooth surface of the metal ball. The golden and dazzling metal-formed fangs. The mouth opened and bit towards Tong Shi's long sword. There was a cracking sound, and Tong, Shi-Er's long sword, was bitten off. The metal ball swallowed the front part of the sword and started to chew. This, Lu Ming and the others looked at each other. Tong, Shi-Er's long sword was a sacred weapon. Although it was only a lower rank one sacred weapon, it was extremely hard. However, the metal ball had bitten off her sword and was eating it. How could the metal ball be so powerful? What made them even more speechless was that there was a pair of eyes above the metal ball's mouth. The eyes were squinted, and it looked like it was enjoying itself. It was a metal ball that had intelligence. The few of them had the same thought. Treasure. This was definitely a treasure. A lump of metal actually gave birth to intelligence. It was definitely extraordinary. Swoosh! Swoosh! Everyone moved again and pounced toward the metal ball. However, the metal ball was very slippery and smart. It seemed to have noticed that Tong Shi-Er was the weakest among the four of them, so it charged directly at her. Tong Shi-Er no longer dared to use her divine artifact to attack. She could only circulate her divine power and wrap it around the metal ball. However, the power of the metal ball was extremely shocking. With a single collision, it knocked away Tong Shi-Er's God Force. Tong Shi-Er's body trembled as she was knocked away. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Her strength was not enough to fight against this metal ball. However, Lu Ming arrived just in time. He waved his hand, and his sovereign power formed a giant hand that grabbed at the metal ball. The metal ball seemed to be extremely fearful of the sovereign's power, and a look of fear appeared in its eyes as it quickly retreated. Lu Ming, this metal ball seems to be afraid of your sovereign power. I'll trap it while you grab it. Xian Yinqing shouted. Her whole body was filled with black light. Numerous black lotuses appeared and pressed down on the metal ball. On the other side, Xian Yinjuan also attacked with all her might. Numerous snow-white lotuses appeared and pressed down on the metal ball. Swoosh! The metal ball charged toward Xian Yinqing and collided with the black lotuses. Bam! Bam! Those lotus flowers kept exploding. However, after they exploded, even more lotus flowers appeared and blocked the metal ball. Lu Ming rushed over and grabbed with both hands. His sovereign power formed a giant net that enveloped the metal ball. The metal ball was directly enveloped by the sovereign power's net. It charged left and right, but strangely it could not break out of the net formed by the sovereign power. Lu Ming began to shrink the sovereign power, and the net became smaller. In the end, the metal ball became obedient and stayed there motionless. Finally, Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball in his hand. So heavy! When Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball, he almost lost his grip and dropped it to the ground. This was extremely shocking. Although all the matter in the primitive universe could not be compared to the Heaven Realm's primordial realm, and its mass was many times greater than the Heaven Realm's primordial realm, Lu Ming almost lost his grip on such a metal ball. Its weight was probably more than several mountains. Just as Lu Ming was about to examine it carefully, a sharp thorn suddenly appeared on the metal ball. This thorn was extremely sharp. In an instant, it pierced through the sovereign power covering Lu Ming's hand and pierced through Lu Ming's skin. A stream of blood flowed onto the metal ball. Lu Ming was shocked and almost threw the metal ball away. Fortunately, the metal ball did not continue to move. The stream of blood seeped into the metal ball and disappeared. Streaks of dark red light flashed across the surface of the metal ball before disappearing in a flash. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that the metal ball had become lighter, as if it was weightless. Lu Ming was a little stunned. Lu Ming, it seems that you and it are fated to be together. It has recognized you as its master. Xian Yinjuan walked over and said. There was a trace of envy in his eyes. There were not many things that could make Xian Yinjuan envious. It has recognized me as its master? Lu Ming was also a little stunned. If I'm not wrong, this should be a kind of metal life form bred by the heaven and earth's origin. This kind of metal life form is very rare in the vast primitive universe. It is very precious. Now that it has recognized you as its master, it must be fated to be with you. If you nurture it well in the future, it may become a great help to you. Xie Ninjuan said. On the side, Xian Yinqing showed a look of joy. Tong, she showed a trace of envy. However, this time she almost did not help. It was completely Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing who caught the metal ball. She could not say anything. Let's go, let's get out of here, Lu Ming said. They did not have much time and could not waste any more time. If the giant eagle returned, they would be in trouble. Immediately, they rushed out of the cave and chose a direction opposite to where the people from Yuan Luo Hall had escaped. Soon, they disappeared from the place. Not long after Lu Ming and the others left, an ear-piercing screech was heard. The wind whistled and the giant metal eagle returned. It landed at the entrance of the cave and seemed to sense something. Then it let out an angry screech. Caw, caw, caw. The giant metal eagle seemed to have gone mad. It flapped its wings and slashed everything like a blade. Everything that was slashed by its blade-like wings, regardless of whether it was the metal plants or the metal ground, exploded and turned into pieces that flew in all directions. Swoosh! Then it soared into the sky and swooped down, wreaking havoc on the ground. A level 7 empty god realm giant metal eagle was terrifying. Its destructive power was shocking. It went berserk and destroyed everything nearby before gradually flying off into the distance and disappearing from sight. After the giant metal eagle left, a figure flashed and appeared at the entrance of the cave. It was the bald man from Yuan Luo Hall. He rushed into the cave, but not long after, he rushed out of the cave. Ah, damn it, damn it. Who is it? The bald man roared with a ferocious face. Chapter 2592. The bald man from Yuan Luo Hall was infuriated. He understood that they had been cheated miserably. Previously, they had more than 20 people. However, they had been chased by the giant metal eagles, and almost all of them had died. He was the only one who had survived. Moreover, when he had rushed into the cave, the treasure had disappeared. It was obvious that someone had taken the opportunity to take away the treasures in the cave while the giant eagle was chasing after them. If I find out who it is, I will turn you into ashes and die without a burial place. The bald man roared furiously and left the place in a flash. They ran until they had left the forest and crossed a plain. They only heaved a sigh of relief when they entered the next forest. This guy, Lu Ming, realized that the metal ball was lying on his shoulder like a puddle of liquid metal. Lu Ming did not pay much attention to it. He teamed up with Xian Yinqing, Xian Yinjuan, and Tong, and started hunting wild beasts for their beast cores. Bam! Bam! 2 giant metal bears appeared in front of them. Their auras were terrifying, and they were both level 3 empty god realm existences. This forest was more dangerous than the previous one. They had just entered, and they had already encountered 2 level 3 empty god realm existences. Let me do it! Lu Ming dashed over, constantly activating the battle formula at the same time. After a few times, the fight character manual activated the double combat strength. Lu Ming and the 2 giant metal bears engaged in a fierce battle. Only in a big battle could one be honed. Level 3 empty god realm existences were just right for Lu Ming. Roar! Roar! The giant metal bears were about 10 meters tall, and they had immense strength. When they slapped their paws, there was a whistling sound and a raging wind blew. Lu Ming used his sacred weapon combat, sword, to block the attack. He slashed out a few times and fought with the giant metal bears. In an instant, the 2 sides were locked in a fierce battle. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan did not take any action, and they watched from the side. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming and the 2 metal bears clashed continuously, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. The 2 giant bears were furious, roaring like thunder. The power of the bear paws grew stronger and stronger, causing Lu Ming to feel great pressure. There were a few times when he was almost hit by the bear paws. Yes, that's the feeling. Lu Ming was not surprised. Instead, his eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. The pressure and the sense of danger were the only things that could help him improve faster, whether it was the Tao of the Sovereign Lord or the battle character incantation. They were both very useful. Kill! Suddenly, Lu Ming let out a long howl and rushed towards a giant bear. The giant bear roared and also sent out a palm strike. Lu Ming's body tilted slightly to the side, avoiding his vitals and allowing the palm to land on him. At the same time, his battle sword slashed towards the giant bear. Bang! Lu Ming's body shook violently as if he had been struck by lightning. However, at the same time, his sword also landed on the enormous bear's chest, leaving behind a deep sword wound on the enormous bear's chest. Roar! The giant bear was enraged, and its killing intent grew stronger. It wanted to charge towards Lu Ming, but at this moment, something strange happened. The metal ball that had been lying softly on Lu Ming's shoulder suddenly turned into a rainbow light and rushed over. The metal ball's body turned into a sharp spike and pierced towards the giant bear's chest. Pooh! The giant bear's chest was pierced through, and a hole appeared. The metal ball flew out of the giant bear's back and turned back into a circle. In the middle of the circle, a mouth full of fangs and eyes appeared. On both sides, liquid metal extended out like two tentacles. On the tentacles was a piece of dazzling metal. This was the beast core of the giant metal bear. Bang! As for the giant bear, it fell straight to the ground, no longer breathing. What made Lu Ming and the others even more flabbergasted was that the metal ball actually swallowed the beast core in one gulp and began to chew it. The remaining giant metal bear roared and actually revealed a terrified expression. It turned and ran. Swish! The metal ball once again turned into a rainbow light and charged towards the giant metal bear. The metal bear's defense was useless against the metal ball. It was directly pierced through by the metal ball, and a hole appeared in its chest. The beast core naturally fell into the metal ball's hands. Crunch! The metal ball stuffed the beast core into its mouth and began to chew it. Its eyes revealed a very human-like expression of enjoyment. This works too! Lu Ming was in a daze. Judging from the aura of the metal ball, it should be at level 1 empty god realm. However, the two giant metal bears at level 3 empty god realm were powerless against it. It was as if the metal ball could restrain these metal life forms. Then Lu Ming's heart ached. The two level 3 empty god realm beast cores had been eaten by the metal ball. This was worth 40 divine gems. You can restrain these metal life forms? Lu Ming walked over and picked up the metal ball. Crunch! Crunch! The metal ball chewed a few times with its big mouth and revealed a proud expression. It seemed to be saying that this was a given. Lu Ming was overjoyed. All right, help us hunt the metal beasts in the future. However, you can't eat the beast cores. You have to give them to me. Lu Ming said. Crunch! Crunch! The metal ball chewed a few more times, and its entire body was spinning. It was obvious that it was rejecting Sumo. You don't agree? If you don't agree, I will stuff you into my storage ring, and you won't get a single piece. Lu Ming threatened. The metal ball chewed with its big mouth, and its eyes revealed a furious expression. Then I will keep you in my storage ring. Lu Ming did not compromise. After a round of bargaining, he finally reached an agreement with the metal ball. Half of the beast cores that the metal ball hunted would be given to Lu Ming, and the other half would be left for the metal ball to eat. Each of them would take half. After discussing, they set off. Not long after, they encountered a few more wild beasts. However, after the metal ball took action, these wild beasts were terrified. They were easily killed by the metal ball, and their beast cores were taken away. The metal ball passed half of the beast core to Lu Ming. It stuffed the other half into its mouth and started munching on it. Lu Ming and the rest were overjoyed. This way, their efficiency in hunting for beast cores would be greatly increased. Following that, they rampaged through the forest. The speed at which they hunted desolate beasts greatly increased. Lu Ming realized that even if they encountered a level 4 empty god realm wild beast, the metal ball could easily kill it. It was just slightly more troublesome. Most of the time, Lu Ming and the rest did not have to do anything. Sometimes, when they met a suitable opponent, Lu Ming would have to stop the metal ball to have a chance to train. In the blink of an eye, they had stayed in the forest for 3 days. In these 3 days, they had gained a lot. They had obtained more than 1,000 beast cores from level 1 to level 4 empty god realm. If they were to convert them into divine gems, they would be worth more than 20,000 divine gems. It had only been a few days, and they had gained a lot. Everyone smiled. Chapter 2593. That day, they came to a valley and encountered a nest of metal lizards. There were at least 20 of them, and they ranged from level 1 to level 4 empty god realm. Swoosh! The metal ball charged out and killed a level 4 empty god realm metal lizard. Then it charged towards the other lizards. Leave 2 of them for me. Lu Ming also charged over. His combat sword swept across the sky and blocked 2 level 3 empty god realm lizards. They engaged in a fierce battle. In the past few days, he had fought with the metal, desolate beasts from time to time. His understanding of the battle character skill had deepened, and the chances of activating the battle character skill to double his combat strength had increased. They did not realize that a figure had appeared on a mountain peak far away from them. That person was the bald man from Yuan Luo Hall. He had been searching for the past few days and had accidentally come to this place. When he heard the battle, he came over to take a look. As soon as he saw it, his eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. It's that treasure! His eyes were fixed on the metal ball. Previously, he had rushed into the cave and seen the metal ball. Just as he was about to take the metal ball, the metal eagle had returned, and he could only run away in a hurry. Now that he had seen the metal ball, he immediately knew who had tricked him. It was Lu Ming and the rest. Tong, she urged them. I sent out a few men, but they did not kill them. Damn it, I want all of you to die. The bald man's eyes revealed a cold expression, as well as a deep sense of greed. The metal ball could easily kill the metal desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. If he could obtain it, he would be rich. He moved his body and dashed toward Lu Ming and the rest silently along the ground. He was very cautious. Although Lu Ming and the rest did not seem to have a high cultivation level, there was a level 4 empty god realm martial artist among the men that he had sent out. However, he had not returned. Therefore, he planned to use a sneak attack to kill them first. He was extremely fast, and soon he was close to Lu Ming and the rest. Who is it? Xian Yinjuan's eyes suddenly turned in a certain direction. Holy light spread out, forming a battle sword, and slashed out. Whoosh! Wherever the sword light passed, the metal trees were split in half. Boom! On the other side, divine force erupted, powerful energy rampaging. A figure rushed into the sky, revealing itself before everyone's eyes. His spiritual perception is so sharp. Furthermore, his divine power is so strong, the bald man from the Yuan Luo Hall was shocked. He had already restrained his aura, but he was still discovered by Xian Yinjuan. At the same time, the power of Xian Yinjuan's sword had shocked him. A level 1 empty god realm martial artist divine power was not weaker than a level 4 empty god realm martial artist. A monster. The righteous army actually has a monster like this. We must get rid of him. The bald man roared in his heart. It's him. At this moment, Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, and the others all recognized the bald man. They had seen him from afar before. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved and dodged the attacks of the 2 lizards. Then the metal ball rushed over and killed the 2 lizards. He took out their beast cores and placed them on Lu Ming's shoulder. Tong, she you guys are still alive. It seems like the person I sent is already dead, the bald man said ferociously. That's right. We killed him, Tong Shu said. However, her expression was grave. This bald man gave her a lot of pressure. He was definitely a terrifying expert. Then, you guys were the ones who alerted the giant metal eagle and lured it back to the cave? The bald man sneered, his eyes flashing with a fierce light. Looks like you're not stupid, Lu Ming said coldly. Kid, give me that metal ball. The bald man looked at the metal ball on Lu Ming's shoulder, the greed in his eyes growing. You want it? Come and take it yourself, Lu Ming said. You're digging your own grave. The bald man moved and dashed towards Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning. Swoosh! Swoosh! As soon as the bald man moved, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan moved as well. One black and one white sword radiance covered the bald man. Get lost! A saber appeared in the bald man's hand. Saber radiance flashed, and he slashed towards Xian Yinqing and Tong Shi, trying to shake off their sword radiance. Level 5, Empty God Realm. As soon as the bald, burly man made a move, Lu Ming could tell his cultivation level. Level 5, Empty God Realm was definitely powerful. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan did not dare to go head-on with the bald man. They changed their swords and transformed into more than 10 sword radiances. They avoided the bald man's saber and stabbed towards his vital parts. Get lost! Get lost! The bald man roared and slashed out with his saber. However, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's combat skills were too powerful. They could avoid him completely, but they could still attack his vital parts. The two of them joined forces, and their sword radiances flashed continuously. The bald man could not get past them for a while. Bam! At that moment, a cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. He took a step forward and dashed towards the bald man. He slashed his sword at the bald man's head. Get lost! The bald man roared, and his divine power surged out like a flood. When Lu Ming's saber hit the divine power, it was as though it had hit a mountain. Boom! Lu Ming felt a terrifying force surging towards him, and he could not help but retreat. Level 5, Empty God Realm. What a powerful force! Lu Ming felt his arm go numb, and the blood in his body surged. Crack! At that moment, the metal ball threw a beast core into its mouth. As it chewed, it dashed towards the bald man. As it dashed out, the metal ball changed rapidly. It turned into a big ball with a diameter of a few meters and smashed towards the bald man. Dong! The bald man's saber hit the metal ball, and there was a loud bang. The metal ball was sent flying. However, the bald man's saber force was also slowed down. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's sword radiances surged. They were like two streaks of rainbow light that shot towards the bald man. Get lost! The bald man roared, and his saber slashed out horizontally as if it was capable of sweeping away 1,000 armies. A crescent-shaped saber radiance shot out in all directions. This was a large-scale attack. Although it consumed a lot of divine power, it was very useful in this situation. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan could not help but retreat. Although they could kill a level 4 empty god realm martial artist with their powerful combat skills, they were no match for a level 5 empty god realm martial artist. Die, you brat! After forcing Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan to retreat, the bald man charged towards Lu Ming ferociously. Go! Lu Ming waved his hand, and the metal ball dashed out towards the bald man. However, the metal ball was sent flying by the bald man's saber. Chapter 2594. The metal ball was extremely heavy, and its explosive power was comparable to that of a level 4 empty god realm martial artist. However, it could not block the bald man's attack. Tong Shi was extremely anxious at the side. However, with her strength, the difference between her and the bald man was too great. She would only die if she went up. Die, you brat! The bald man roared. When he saw the metal ball following Lu Ming, he wanted to kill Lu Ming. He wanted to get rid of Lu Ming first. Lu Ming squinted his eyes and retreated quickly. At the same time, he unleashed his sovereign power to its maximum. Swoosh! The bald man's saber radiance was dazzling as it slashed towards Lu Ming. As Lu Ming retreated, he slashed out with his sword and it clashed with the bald man's saber. Dang! As the saber and sword clashed, sparks flew. Lu Ming felt a terrifying power surging towards him. His body shook violently and he flew out like a cannonball. He crashed into the wall of the valley and even the metal wall cracked and caved in. Poof! Lu Ming spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt as if his arm was going to break. The sacred weapon in his hand had a chip on it. Lower rank 5 sacred weapon. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The bald man's saber was a lower rank 5 sacred weapon. His combat sword was only a lower rank 3 sacred weapon. It was normal for it to have a chip on it. In the primitive universe, divine weapons were divided into low-grade divine weapons, middle-grade divine weapons, high-grade divine weapons, and supreme-grade divine weapons. There were 4 grades. Every grade was further divided into 9 ranks. The combat sword in Lu Ming's hand was given to him by Baya. It was a lower rank 3 sacred weapon, and it was the highest grade sacred weapon that Lu Ming had. Boom! At that moment, the metal ball charged towards the bald man. It had become bigger, and its diameter was 10 meters. It was like a small hill as it smashed towards the bald man. Xie Ninjuan, dark sacred light skill. Xie Nianqing sent a message to Xie Ninjuan. All right. Xie Ninjuan nodded. Boom! Boom! Their bodies emitted resplendent light. One was black and the other was white. It was like a black sun and a white sun. Then the black light and the white light intertwined to form a cage that enveloped the bald man. Boom! The bald man struck the cage with all his might, but it didn't break. This was the dark holy light cage. Only Xie Nianqing and Xie Ninjuan could use this secret technique together. Back when the Heaven Realm and the Evil God Realm were fighting, the two of them had worked together to trap Saint Ancestor Sha Exan for a while. At that time, their cultivation was only at the half-martial realm, but they were able to trap the empty god realm's sacred ancestor Sha Exan. Now that both of them had broken through to the empty god realm, their cultivation techniques had undergone a transformation, allowing them to control divine force. When they executed this move, it was much stronger than before. Boom! 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 The bald man went berserk. Dazzling saber radiance flashed as he launched a frenzied attack. However, all of his attacks were blocked by the dark holy light cage. Lu Ming, attack! Xie Nianqing shouted, kill! Lu Ming shouted. He exerted all his strength and slashed out with his combat sword. Streaks of sword chi flew towards the bald man as though they were free. At the same time, Tong Shi attacked with all her might. At the same time, she took the opportunity to hit the bald man with the metal ball. The dark holy light cage didn't stop Lu Ming and the rest at all. Their attacks landed on the bald man as much as they wanted. At that moment, the bald man was like a live target for Lu Ming and the rest to attack. The bald man waved his saber with all his might to block the attacks from Lu Ming and the rest. However, the dark holy light cage that Xie Nianqing and Xie Ninjuan had executed could not only trap him, but also attack him. Black and white lotuses appeared in the dark holy light cage and turned into streaks of sword chi. They danced in the air and attacked the bald man. In an instant, the bald man was flustered and could only defend himself with all his might. However, he could only defend himself and couldn't attack. He was reduced to a live target, and there were times when he let his guard down. Poof! A streak of black sword radiance slashed across his body, and a deep sword wound appeared. Blood flowed out from the wound. He roared and retreated quickly. He crashed into the dark holy light cage. A streak of white sword radiance flashed, and his chest was almost pierced through. Roar! The bald man let out a beast-like roar. He was a level 5 empty god realm martial artist, but he was injured by a few level 1 empty god realm juniors. He was furious. Unfortunately, no matter how angry he was, it was useless. After a while, he was no match for Lu Ming. He staggered after being hit by the metal ball. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and almost chopped off his head with his sword, leaving a sword wound that was a few feet long on his chest. With injuries on top of injuries, the bald man's strength started to weaken. "Today, you are the one who will die," Lu Ming said coldly, and his attacks became more violent. "Don't even think about it. Don't even think about killing me," the bald man roared. The aura on his body suddenly surged, and it was as though there was a flame burning fiercely. He was burning his divine power. The bald man was going to fight with all his might. Most people would not burn their divine power unless it was a critical moment. If they burned their divine power too much, their cultivation rank might regress, and it might even leave a terrible sequela. It would be difficult for them to raise their cultivation rank in the future. Usually, they would not fight with all their might unless they were in a dangerous situation. However, the bald man had to fight with all his might. If he didn't fight with all his might, he might die here. Boom! Boom! The burning of his divine power increased the bald man's strength by a lot. He broke through everyone's attacks and then slashed heavily on the Dark Saint Light cage. Boom! The Dark Saint Light cage shook violently. Boom! Boom! Then, the bald man attacked the Dark Saint Light cage crazily, causing the Dark Saint Light cage to shake more and more violently. Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan's delicate bodies also trembled, and their faces turned pale. The bald-headed man continuously attacked with 50 to 60 moves. Moreover, he was specifically attacking a single spot. Crack! That area finally could not withstand the attacks, and a crack appeared. Then the crack collapsed, and a gap appeared. Swoosh! The bald man seized the opportunity and rushed out of the gap. He then turned into a beam of light and sped into the distance. "I will take revenge for this sooner or later." He actually did not dare to stay any longer. He needed to find a place to stop burning his divine power and heal his injuries. Otherwise, not only would his cultivation regress, it would also leave behind a terrifying aftereffect. If there were terrible sequelae and he could not raise his cultivation rank in the future, it would be a great loss. Compared to killing Lu Ming and the rest, his future was more important. He would have another chance to kill Lu Ming and the rest in the future. In the blink of an eye, the bald man was nowhere to be seen. What a pity! Lu Ming sighed inwardly. However, he knew that their cultivation ranks were too low. It was shocking that they could force a rank 5 empty god realm to such a state. Chapter 2595. The bald man retreated with serious injuries. As for Lu Ming and the rest, they did not stay and immediately left the area. Following that, they became more cautious. They purposely went to remote areas to avoid meeting other warriors. The next 10 days were very peaceful. Nothing major happened, and they hunted for desolate beasts in peace. With the help of the metal ball, their speed of killing desolate beasts increased greatly. However, they discovered a situation. The metal ball could deal with desolate beasts at level 4 Void God Realm, but it was very difficult to deal with those above level 5 Void God Realm. It could frighten the other party, but if the other party turned and ran, the metal ball could not catch up. Hence, the desolate beasts they hunted were all below level 4 Void God Realm. During this period, Lu Ming, Xian Yinqing, Xian Yinjuan, and Tong Shi used all their strength to kill desolate beasts and obtain their beast cores. After all, if they relied on the metal ball alone, they would have to split half of the beast cores they hunted. If they worked together, their efficiency would naturally be much higher. In 10 days, including the beast cores they hunted previously, they could probably sell them for about 100,000 divine gems. This was definitely a great harvest. On this day, after the metal ball swallowed a beast core, its body suddenly emitted a resplendent light. A powerful aura emanated from it. Could it be about to advance in rank? Lu Ming was a little stunned. Could it be that the metal ball could advance in rank by continuously swallowing beast cores? Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The metal ball was like a balloon. It would swell and shrink at times. This repeated for a few hours before it stabilized. The metal ball's aura had also increased. Level 2 Void God Realm. Lu Ming understood that the metal ball had really advanced in rank. It had reached level 2 Void God Realm. Lu Ming was overjoyed. The metal ball would undoubtedly be stronger after advancing in rank. In the future, its speed of killing desolate beasts would definitely be faster. Just as they were continuing to hunt desolate beasts, a figure rushed out from a hidden cave. It was the bald man from Yuan Luohol. After more than 10 days, his injuries had finally healed. The aftereffects of burning divine power had also been stabilized. Tong Shi-er, and that brat don't think you'll have an easy time. If I can't have it, you can't either, the bald man said ferociously. Then his figure flashed, and he left the place. Tens of thousands of miles away, there was another group of people hunting desolate beasts. There were about a dozen of them. This group of people came from another faction, Storm Hall. The Wind Cloud Hall was not any weaker than the Yuan Luo Palace and the Righteous Army. Who? Suddenly, an old man, who was the leader of the Fengyan Hall, looked in a certain direction with sharp eyes. Brother Feng's spiritual sense is indeed sharp. I'm impressed. With a chuckle, a figure appeared. It was the bald man from the Yuan Luo Hall. Kongbing, it's you? What's wrong? You want to take advantage of my storm hall? The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall scanned the surroundings with his sharp eyes. The other members of the Wind Cloud Hall also looked around warily. The chaotic astral ocean was originally a chaotic place. There were countless big and small forces. It was common for these forces to kill each other, and in the 10,000 gold star, killing each other for beast cores was a common occurrence. Naturally, they had to be on high alert. Brother Feng, you must be joking. I'm here to tell you about a great opportunity. The bald man smiled. A great opportunity? The old man's lips curled up. Clearly, he did not believe him. He said, Kongbing, would you be so kind as to tell me about an opportunity? You would have already taken it for yourself. This opportunity is not in my hands. It was taken away by someone else. It was a few brats from the Righteous Army. They obtained a metal ball that has spirituality. It can suppress the other metal desolate beasts on the 10,000 gold star and take their beast cores. Their efficiency is astonishing, the bald man said. What? There's such a treasure? Kongbing, you're not tricking me, right? The old man still did not believe him. It's up to you to believe it or not. I've already brought the news. There are only 4 people in the Righteous Army, 3 women and 1 man. They are all young. Why don't you try to see if it's true? The bald man smiled. Then his figure flashed, and he left the place. Brother Feng, what should we do? Is this Kongbing telling the truth? Someone asked the old man. There's actually such a powerful metal life form that can suppress other metal desolate beasts. It's better to believe it than not. If it's true, we'll be rich. Immediately find those brats from the Righteous Army, the old man ordered. Then the bald man traversed the land to find people from other forces and spread the news. Most of the people were like the old man from the Storm Hall. They would rather look around. More and more people joined in the search for Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others knew nothing about this and continued to hunt for beast cores. With the advancement of the metal ball, the speed of their hunt for beast cores had increased. They could even hunt a level 5 empty god realm wild beast now. There's someone. On this day, as they were moving forward, Xian Yinjuan's eyes suddenly flickered. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also sensed it. Swoosh, swoosh, 6 figures flashed in front of him, and 6 figures appeared. These 6 people were from the Naga tribe and the Oxhead tribe. The leader was a Naga elder. He glanced at Lu Ming and the others with a gloomy expression. Finally, his gaze landed on the metal ball on Lu Ming's shoulder. It's exactly as Kongbing said. There really is a metal life form like this. The Naga elder's eyes were filled with greed. They came from a small force. There were only 6 of them on the 10,000 gold star. When they heard Kongbing's news, they immediately searched everywhere. Unexpectedly, they found Lu Ming and the others first. Brat, give us the metal ball on your shoulder and we'll spare your life. The Naga elder spoke. His voice was sharp and hoarse. His snake tail swung around threateningly. They're here for the metal ball. Lu Ming's heart jumped. He immediately thought of the bald man from the Yuan Luo Palace. It must have been the bald man who leaked the information, or he simply wanted to borrow the hands of others to eliminate them. Scram! Lu Ming shouted coldly. Among the 6 people, the Naga elder had the highest cultivation. He was at level 4 Empty God Realm. The others were all below level 4 Empty God Realm. They were not afraid at all. What did you say? A transformation void martial realm dares to speak to me like that. If you had handed over the metal ball, I could have considered sparing your life. Now, even if you kneel down and beg me, you'll still have to die. The Naga elder's voice was extremely cold and was filled with cold, killing intent. I'll kill him. A level 3 Empty God Realm Oxhead held a battle axe. He arched his body and took a step forward. His body shot out like an arrow towards Lu Ming. Go, smash him to death! Lu Ming waved his hand and the metal ball flew out. At the same time, it swelled rapidly and smashed towards the Oxhead. Chapter 2596. The metal ball grew bigger and smashed down on the bull-headed man. The bull-headed man roared and waved his giant axe to hit the metal ball. Clang! There was an earth-shattering sound as the bull-headed man's battle axe bounced back and smashed onto his head. At the same time, the metal ball smashed onto the bull-headed man's head. The bull-headed man screamed in pain as his body exploded and he died on the spot. When the metal ball was at level 1 Empty God Realm, its strength was equivalent to level 4 Empty God Realm. Now that it had leveled up, it could fight against a level 5 Empty God Realm expert. Naturally, it could kill a level 3 Empty God Realm expert instantly. What? The Naga elder turned pale with fright. A level 3 Empty God Realm expert was killed in seconds. Even he couldn't do it. Let's go! The Naga elder roared and turned to run. The remaining few people were already scared out of their wits. Before the Naga elder could say anything, they had already run away. Smash! Lu Ming waved his hand, and the metal ball flew out and smashed towards the Naga elder. Boom! The metal ball was like a mountain as it smashed towards the Naga elder. The Naga elder tried his best to block the attack. However, his attacks were all destroyed by the metal ball. Bam! The Naga elder's palms landed on the metal ball. His body shook violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Both of his arms were broken from the impact. Then the metal ball continued to fly and smashed onto the Naga elder. The Naga elder could not block the attack of the metal ball. He tried his best to block a few attacks, but was still killed by the metal ball. As for the remaining people, Xian Yanqing and Xian Yanjuan had already rushed out. With a flash of sword radiance, they were all killed. The Naga elder and the other 5 people had all died here. However, Lu Ming and the rest had grave expressions on their faces. If the bald man from Yuan Luo Hall could inform the Naga elder and the others, he could inform the others. It would be bad if they met a more powerful expert. Let's go! They took the storage rings of the Naga elder and the others and left in a flash. However, not long after, they were besieged again. This time, they encountered people from the Storm Hall. There were more than 20 people in Feng Yun Hall, and 2 of them were at level 5 Empty God Realm. There were a few level 4 Empty God Realm martial artists, and they were no match for them. With the help of the metal ball, they blocked a few of the opponent's attacks and retreated. Don't even think about leaving. Hand over that metal ball. The leader of the Feng Yun Hall was an elder from the human tribe. His eyes were cold, and his cultivation was at the peak of level 5 Empty God Realm. He was very powerful, and he chased after Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming and the others didn't even glance at him as they ran with all their might. Die! The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall struck out with his palm. A palm force that could topple mountains and overturn seas blasted towards Lu Ming and the others. Wherever it passed, trees made of metal would explode and disintegrate. Go! Lu Ming directly pushed the metal ball out. Dong! With a loud boom, the metal ball shook violently and was sent flying back. However, the speed of Lu Ming's group was not affected in the slightest. They continued to run at top speed. You can't escape. The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall looked ferocious, and his eyes sparkled with greed. That metal ball was magical, and its strength was shocking. If he could get it, he would be like a tiger that had grown wings. Roar! Suddenly, there was a loud roar in front of them. The roar was shocking. Even though they were far away, they could feel a strong oppression. That is a level 6 Empty God Realm Metal Desolate Beast. Xian Yinjuan said, Let's go. Lu Ming said. They didn't slow down and rushed forward. You are courting death. You are courting death. The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall shouted angrily, Even if we are courting death, we won't let you off easily. If you have the ability, come after us. Lu Ming turned back and shouted in disdain. Damn it! The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall shouted. He gritted his teeth and continued to chase. Roar! In front of them, there was a thunderous roar. They saw a huge metal tiger that was more than 10 meters tall, and it was cruising around. As soon as Lu Ming and the rest got close, they were discovered by the huge metal tiger. Its cold eyes swept towards Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming and the rest felt a strong pressure. A level 6 Empty God Realm Metal Desolate Beast was terrifying. Even if Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan joined forces with the metal ball, they would be defeated in an instant. Roar! The huge metal tiger roared. It stomped on the ground, and the ground shook. Then it ran towards Lu Ming and the rest. We can only take a gamble. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. He didn't stop and continued to rush forward. At that moment, the metal ball revealed a big mouth and a pair of eyes. It stared at the huge metal tiger and opened its mouth vigorously, making cracking sounds. When the huge metal tiger saw the metal ball, fear flashed in its eyes. It twisted its waist and went around Lu Ming and the rest, charging towards the men from the Wind Cloud Hall. Damn it, run! The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall shouted and turned to run. Although he was a peak level 5 Empty God Realm Metal Tiger, he would still die if he went up against the level 6 Empty God Realm Metal Tiger. The metal beasts on Wan Jinxing were stronger when they were at the same level. As they were made of metal, they had amazing defensive strength and tenacious vitality. When they fought, they weren't afraid of death. Roar! The huge metal tiger roared. It leaped and covered 100 miles. Soon it caught up with the men from the Wind Cloud Hall. Its huge claws swept out, and 2 experts from the Wind Cloud Hall were killed. Then it opened its mouth and bit down. An expert from the Wind Cloud Hall was bitten into 2. It was simply a torture. Ah, damn it! The old man from the Wind Cloud Hall ran the fastest. He was at the front, but he was roaring in his heart. He couldn't understand why the huge metal tiger didn't attack Lu Ming and the rest. Instead, it attacked them. He was furious, but now he could only run. Phew! Lu Ming and the rest heaved a sigh of relief. Especially Tong Shir. She felt a layer of cold sweat covering her body. However, they had made the right bet. The huge metal tiger didn't attack them. It seemed that the metal ball had a deterrent effect on level 6 empty god realm metal beasts. Let's go! They didn't stay and left in a flash. After running for a distance, they stopped. It seems that we can't stay in Wanjingxing. I'm afraid that Yuan Luohal has spread the news. Tongshu said, That's right. Let's leave immediately and return to Jingtian Star. Lu Ming said, After hunting for this period of time, they had a good harvest. If they sold it for divine gems, they could use it for a period of time. Originally, if there wasn't any danger, they wanted to continue hunting beasts in Wanjingxing. However, it was too dangerous to stay in Wanjingxing. If they encountered a level 6 or even level 7 empty god realm expert, they would be in danger. Chapter 2597. The few of them discussed for a while and decided to return. Tong, then took out the interstellar battleship and activated it. The few of them then entered the interstellar battleship. Swoosh! The interstellar battleship shone and shot up into the sky. However, just as the interstellar battleship reached the atmosphere, a terrifying saber radiance slashed down from above and landed heavily on the interstellar battleship. Boom! The interstellar battleship roared and shook violently. Not good. Lu Ming and the rest had a change of expression. Through the interstellar battleship, they could see a burly man in the sky. He had a single horn on his forehead. He was an expert from the Rhinoceros Man. His body exuded a terrifying aura. His eyes were cold as he slashed out with his saber. Swoosh! The snow-white saber radiance lit up the sky and struck the interstellar battleship. The interstellar battleship shook violently and roared continuously. Fortunately, the interstellar battleship's defense was strong enough. Otherwise, it would not be able to travel in the starry sky. The other party would not be able to break through the defense in a short period of time. However, even if the other party could not break through the defense, he could still stop them. When the other experts arrived, they would be like a turtle in a jar. Turn around. Lu Ming said. Tong, controlled the interstellar battleship to turn around and fly back to the ground. In the sky, the Rhinoceros Man chased after them relentlessly. This man's cultivation was shockingly high. He was definitely above level 6 empty god realm. He might even be a level 7 empty god realm expert. Obviously, this man had been patrolling in the sky because he knew that Lu Ming and the others would escape in the interstellar battleship. If there were experts in this area, there might be experts patrolling in other areas as well. They stayed close to the ground and did not leave the interstellar battleship. Instead, they steered the interstellar battleship to fly. The interstellar battleship's speed was shocking. It was much faster than the Rhinoceros Man. Soon they shook him off. After shaking off the Rhinoceros Man, they left the interstellar battleship and flew on their own. The interstellar battleship, flying above the 10,000 gold star, would cause a huge commotion and attract too much attention. If they continued to fly there, they would undoubtedly be courting death. Not only would they attract other experts, but they would also attract the powerful metal desolate beasts. However, their luck seemed to have run out. They did not fly for long before they met a group of people. As soon as this group of people saw Lu Ming and the rest, their eyes lit up. It's them. Kill them and take their treasures. This group of people dashed towards Lu Ming and the group. The one in front was a level 5 empty god. There were also a few who were at level 4 void god realm. Go, smash him to death. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a cold light. With a wave of his hand, the metal ball flew out and smashed towards the level 5 empty god. With the metal ball's current ability, it would not be a problem to block a level 5 empty god realm expert. As for Lu Ming and the others, they rushed towards the remaining people. Being chased all the way, Lu Ming and the others also had a bellyful of anger. Now was the perfect time to go on a killing spree. Boom! The metal ball collided with the level 5 empty god realm expert. Xian Yinjuan swung his long sword and split it into rays of sword light, enveloping the 2 level for empty god realm experts. On the other hand, Xian Yinqing charged towards the last level 4 void god. Lu Ming activated double combat strength and fought the rest together with Tong Shi. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, as long as he did not encounter a level 4 empty god realm expert, he could protect himself. Although the other party had more people, Lu Ming defended with all his might. The other party could not do anything to Lu Ming. As for Xian Yinqing, he could completely suppress a level 4 empty god realm expert. Swoosh! Swoosh! Xian Yinqing had devoured the memories of his previous life. His combat experience and combat awareness were not much weaker than Xian Yinjuan's. His sword radiance flashed and forced the other party to retreat. Poof! After dozens of moves, the other party was almost cut into 2 by Xian Yinqing's sword radiance. He was frightened and retreated frantically. Swoosh! Swoosh! At that moment, Xian Yinqing's sword aura suddenly changed. He was like a flying immortal as he charged towards the people who were fighting with Lu Ming. Poof! Poof! As the sword radiance flashed, a few heads flew out. 1 level 3 empty god realm expert and 2 level 2 empty god realm experts were killed instantly. Such swordsmanship, such combat skills, Lu Ming was secretly astonished when he saw this. Xian Yinqing's and Xian Yinjuan's swordsmanship came from the same source. They were very similar and they were amazing. Lu Ming did not think that he could achieve it, especially after Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan had broken through to the martial god realm. They had reached a shocking level. This was not a divine skill, but a simple use of the sword. It was a skill and experience. With their current strength, it was difficult for them to use a divine skill. Normally, one would have to reach the peak empty god realm to cultivate a divine skill. Swoosh! After killing the 3 experts, Xian Yinqing's sword aura changed again, and another 2 people were killed. Oh no! The remaining people were shocked. They had so many people, but they were still no match for Lu Ming and the other 3 young men. This shocked them. Swoosh! Swoosh! Just then, there was a loud piercing sound from afar. More than 10 streamers shot towards them. Another group of experts had arrived. Those people were overjoyed. It's them. They have the treasure. Let's join forces and kill them. Those people yelled. It's them. Kill. When those people saw Lu Ming and the others, they charged towards them. Let's go. Lu Ming shouted and kept the metal ball. He turned around and left with Tong Shi, Xian Yinqing, and Xian Yinjuan. Another group of people had arrived, and there were level 5 empty gods among them. It would be unwise for them to stay and fight. Where are you going? Behind them, a group of people chased after them. In the blink of an eye, they had traveled a few thousand miles. Something is not right. Why is there not a single metal desolate beast in this area? Suddenly, Lu Ming frowned. They had traveled a few thousand miles. Logically speaking, they should have encountered many metal desolate beasts. However, they had not encountered any metal desolate beasts. This was not normal. Rumble. Suddenly, there was a loud roar from afar, and the ground shook violently. Furthermore, the vibration was not coming from a single direction. Instead, it was coming from all directions. What's going on? The expressions of those who were chasing after Lu Ming and the rest changed. Roar, roar, roar. Then there was the sound of beasts roaring. The ground around them shook more and more violently. Then they saw countless metal desolate beasts rushing towards them from all directions like a tide. Beast tide, desolate beasts, beast tide. Run. Fly to the sky. Those who were chasing Lu Ming and the others were panicking and exclaiming. However, there were desolate beasts in all directions. With so many desolate beasts rushing towards them, they would definitely be wiped out. Many of them soared into the sky and tried to escape. However, in the next moment, they were in despair. Chapter 2598. Jie, Jie. In the sky, there was a sharp cry as flying desolate beasts appeared in the sky. Everyone's faces turned pale. What should we do? Tong, Shi-Er's face was also pale. Let's risk it. Little guy, we're counting on you. Lu Ming looked at the metal ball. The metal ball could deter those metal desolate beasts. Now, they could only rely on the metal ball. Rumble. Countless metal desolate beasts approached. Their terrifying auras pressed down like a landslide. Ah! Some people had already been engulfed by the beast horde. They let out miserable cries, but in a blink of an eye, there was no sound. The metal ball in Lu Ming's hand expanded in size. It opened its mouth and began to bite. Its eyes stared angrily at those metal, desolate beasts. When those metal, desolate beasts saw the metal ball, they revealed a look of fear. They actually went around Lu Ming and company and did not attack Lu Ming and company. It's effective. Lu Ming and company were overjoyed. This scene was also seen by others. Charge towards them. They're fine. Bring them along, and we can leave Wan Jinxing. The remaining people who were not dead rushed towards Lu Ming and company. Let's go. Lu Ming and company would not stand there foolishly. They used the metal ball to open a path and charged into the beast horde. Ah, you are not going to save us. You will die a horrible death. When those people saw Lu Ming and company charging into the beast horde and about to disappear, they began to roar crazily. Lu Ming and company despised them. These people wanted to kill them just now. They were not fools. Why would they save them? To say that they were not going to save them was simply laughable. Behind them, there were screams and rumbling sounds. Soon there was no sound. Lu Ming and company used the metal ball to open a path. It was very safe. They passed through the beast horde without any mishaps. However, after traveling for some time, they encountered another beast horde. They were running through the forest and roaring like thunder. I heard that in the 10,000 gold star there will only be a beast tide once every 10,000 years. I didn't expect that we would encounter it this time. There was a look of lingering fear on her face. This time, if they did not have the metal ball, they would also be in danger. Most likely, they would not have survived. They used the metal ball to pass through the beast tide and entered a forest. Roar! Roar! Not long after they entered the forest, they heard the roars of desolate beasts. At the same time, there were sword beams and saber beams that shot up into the sky. Clearly, someone was battling a desolate beast. The next moment, they saw a group of people rushing over, followed by a bunch of desolate beasts. It's him. The expressions of Lu Ming and the others changed. One of them was the bald, bulky man from the Yuan Luo Palace. The other person was the old man from the Storm Hall. At this moment, they were all in a sorry state, being chased by a group of desolate beasts. It's them. It's those bastards. The bald, bulky man from the Yuan Luo Palace also saw Lu Ming and the others. A cold glint flashed across his eyes. Then, the bald, bulky man from the Yuan Luo Palace directly rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. The others followed the bald, bulky man and rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. Clearly, they wanted to drag Lu Ming and the others down with them. They are courting death. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Let's bring them to the beast tide. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Xian Yinqing and the others. Xian Yinqing and the others' eyes lit up. They understood what Lu Ming and the others wanted to do. They turned and ran towards the beast tide from before. The bald, bulky man and the others chased closely behind Lu Ming and the others. They had just passed through the beast tide, so they were not far away. Soon, they saw a large group of desolate beasts. Lu Ming immediately kept the metal ball into his storage ring. Roar! Roar! When the desolate beasts saw Lu Ming and the others, they rushed towards Lu Ming and the others in a frenzy. Not good! Damn it! The bald, bulky man and the others turned pale with fright. As for Lu Ming and the others, they turned and rushed towards the bald, bulky man and the others, bringing a large group of desolate beasts with them. Damn it! All of you deserve to die. A bunch of lunatics! The bald, bulky man and the others roared. They thought that Lu Ming and the others would not be able to escape and would drag them down with them. All of you, get lost, get lost! The bald, bulky man roared angrily. Weren't you chasing us just now? Why are you telling us to get lost now? Lu Ming sneered and continued to chase after the bald, bulky man and the others. The bald, bulky man and the others revealed a look of despair. There was a large group of desolate beasts behind them. There were even more desolate beasts in front of them. In the sky, there was also a dense group of flying, desolate beasts. There was simply no way out. At this moment, Lu Ming and the others suddenly stopped. Then, the metal ball in his hand appeared again. With the metal ball out, the desolate beasts automatically avoided Lu Ming and the others and pounced towards the bald, bulky man and the others. Enjoy it, Lu Ming sneered. Then, together with Xian Yanqing and the others, they rushed into the group of desolate beasts and were safe and sound. Ah! The bald, bulky man, the elder from Storm Hall, let out a furious roar. They were aggrieved, indignant, and scared to death. They understood that they had been tricked by Lu Ming. They wanted to rush towards Lu Ming and the others, but countless desolate beasts had already drowned them. A few level 5 Void God Realm desolate beasts rushed towards the bald, bulky man. The bald, bulky man tried his best to block a few moves before he was torn apart and died on the spot. The elder from Storm Hall could not withstand more than a few moves and was also torn apart by the desolate beasts. Lu Ming and the others left the place. Now that there is a beast horde, be it on the ground or in the sky, there are terrifying, desolate beasts. There shouldn't be any experts blocking us in the sky. Let's leave now. Lu Ming said. Everyone nodded. Those experts had probably left when jinxing when they saw the beast horde. However, with so many desolate beasts in the sky, they naturally could not take out their space battleships to fly. They had to pass through the desolate beasts before they could leave. They flew towards the sky. Caw! Suddenly there was a sharp screech. A silver-white large eagle that looked like it was made of silver flew over and stared at Lu Ming and the others. A terrifying aura emanated from the large eagle, causing the hearts of Lu Ming and the others to beat faster. Terrifying! So terrifying! The large eagle gave them an extremely terrifying feeling. It was even more terrifying than the level 7 Void God Realm desolate beasts that they had encountered previously. This was definitely an existence that surpassed level 7 Void God Realm. Such an existence was too shocking. Lu Ming felt that the other party only needed one move to kill him. The large silver eagle's cold eyes stared at them, causing Lu Ming and the others to tense up. Their backs were drenched in cold sweat. Crack! Crack! Metal Ball opened its mouth and stared at the large eagle. The large silver eagle's eyes landed on Metal Ball. Unlike other desolate beasts, there was not much fear in the large silver eagle's eyes. Chapter 25:99. Seeing the silver condor's cold and fearless gaze, Lu Ming and company could not help but feel their hearts tighten. It can't be. This silver condor was not afraid of the metal ball. Then wouldn't they be doomed? Being ignored by the silver condor, the metal ball was enraged. It seemed to feel that its dignity had been challenged. Its body swelled as it attacked. Its eyes were wide open as it revealed a mouth full of fangs. It bit down with a loud crunching sound. At the same time, 2 tentacles extended from its liquid, metal-like body. They waved as if they were threatening the silver condor. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, Tong, Shi and company did not even dare to breathe loudly. They stood there motionless. Now, they could only rely on the metal ball. If the metal ball could not scare it away, they would be in danger. Thankfully, the silver condor finally reacted. Its cold eyes swept across Lu Ming and company before it turned around. With a long cry, it flapped its wings and left. Not only that, even the other flying, desolate beasts in the surrounding area also left. It's gone! Lu Ming and company let out a long breath. They felt a chill run down their backs. They were already drenched in cold sweat. Crack! 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 The metal ball shrank and turned back into a round metal ball. It jumped around in front of Lu Ming, as if it was showing off its battle results. Let's go! Lu Ming grabbed the metal ball and flew into the sky. This time they were safe. They flew above the atmosphere and only stopped when they were close to outer space. There were no more desolate beasts here, nor were there any other experts. Tong, took out her interstellar battleship. After entering it, the battleship transformed into a beam of light and flew out of the atmosphere into the vast cosmos. After entering the cosmos, they heaved a sigh of relief. Many things had happened on this trip to Wanjingxing, but they had finally left without any mishap. We'll come again when our cultivation levels are higher, Lu Ming muttered. This was a treasure trove that could allow one to hunt for large amounts of desolate metal beast cores. Furthermore, Lu Ming had a treasure like the metal ball, which allowed him to hunt for desolate metal beast cores with astonishing efficiency. However, they definitely wouldn't be able to come in the near future. It wasn't just because of the beast tide. After the beast tide, the experts of the other forces would return to Wanjingxing, and they would probably still come looking for them. In a few years, when my cultivation is higher, I'll come again. After that, they sorted through the storage rings they obtained from their enemies and found some beast cores and divine crystals. After organizing these things together and returning to the righteous army, he would sell the beast cores and divide them equally. Time passed quickly. A month later, they returned to just Sky Planet. Within the righteous army, it was a place that specialized in buying, selling, and even exchanging treasures. After returning to just Sky, Tong Shi brought Lu Ming and the others to this place and sold all the metal beast cores. Including their spoils of war, they had a total of 120,000 divine gems, 120,000 divinity crystals, 30,000 each. Lu Ming smiled and began to divide equally. No, I only want 10,000. This time it's all thanks to you guys. I didn't do much. Tong Shi hurriedly refused, her face slightly red. This time, she indeed didn't do much. Whether it was Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, or Xian Yanjuan, they were all stronger than her. She had contributed the least, so she was a little embarrassed to take 10,000 divinity crystals. We agreed to divide the divine gems equally. Since we agreed to it, we naturally have to do it. Lu Ming pushed 30,000 divinity crystals to Tong Shi. Lu Ming was already very satisfied with obtaining the metal ball this time. If Tong Shi hadn't brought them there, he wouldn't have been able to obtain it. However, Tong Shi still refused and only accepted 20,000 divinity crystals in the end. Lu Ming, I'll return the interstellar warship. You guys go ahead and chat. Tong Shi said goodbye and left. There's still 100,000 divinity crystals left. Lu Ming took out the remaining divinity crystals. Just give me 30,000 divinity crystals. Xian Yinjuan waved his hand, took a storage ring with 30,000 divinity crystals and flew away. Only Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were left. The two of them didn't split the loot. Xian Yanqing took 30,000 divinity crystals, while Lu Ming kept 40,000. With these divinity crystals, my cultivation should be able to break through quickly. Xian Yanqing smiled. She had devoured the memories of her previous life, which allowed her to cultivate at an astonishing speed. Her comprehension of the Tao of cultivation was especially natural. Therefore, as long as she had the resources, she would be able to break through very quickly. However, Xian Yinjuan had a greater advantage. She had merged with her past life, which was equivalent to her past life coming back to life. She didn't need to comprehend it again, so her breakthrough was faster and there were almost no bottlenecks. The two of them chatted for a while, then returned to their rooms to cultivate. During this trip to Wanjingxing, after a series of battles, Lu Ming had made great progress. His comprehension of the battle character formula and the path of sovereign had taken a big step forward. Lu Ming had a feeling that he would be able to break through soon. Lu Ming placed the metal ball in his room and focused on cultivating in seclusion. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. Lu Ming's body, which had been meditating for a year, suddenly emitted a powerful suction force. The divine qi between heaven and earth gathered crazily towards his body and rushed into it. Then Lu Ming waved his hand, and a pile of divinity crystals appeared. They kept exploding, turning into rich divine qi, which was absorbed by Lu Ming. The power of the world and the power of the master in Lu Ming's body began to soar and rapidly became rich. A few days later, Lu Ming's aura skyrocketed and then slowly disappeared. Swoosh! Lu Ming opened his eyes, and 2 rays of light burst out from his eyes, which were dazzling. 4-star Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming revealed a smile. After training in Wanjingxing for a while and coming back to cultivate for a year, Lu Ming broke through once again. Of course, this was because Lu Ming's cultivation was still low in the Heavenly Emperor realm. Moreover, the cultivation environment of the chaotic universe was really much better than the Heaven realm. That was why he broke through so quickly. If it was in the Heaven realm, it was absolutely impossible to break through in such a short time. Of course, if he reached the Void God realm in the future, it would not be so easy to break through. Reaching the Void God realm, every breakthrough was very difficult, unless it was a heaven-defying genius with the help of some rare treasures. Reaching the 4-star Heavenly Emperor, Lu Ming's strength had undoubtedly increased by another level. Now, if he triggered double combat power, killing a level 3 Void God realm existence would be a piece of cake. Even if it was a level 4 Void God realm, he could also contend for a while. Lu Ming got up and stretched his back. There were dense explosive sounds coming from his body. This guy, Lu Ming opened his eyes and saw that the metal ball was lying on the ground softly, with a listless look, almost turning into a pool of liquid. This guy, could it be that he didn't eat and is like this? Lu Ming guessed, and then a metal beast core appeared in his hand. Previously, Lu Ming still had dozens of scattered beast cores in his hands that had not been sold. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.